Second best rushing team in the nation. How important is this one? Ask Notre Dame. From Notre Dame Stadium in Notre Dame, Indiana, welcome to today's football game between the Falcons of the Air Force Academy and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. And welcome to the house that Rockne built many seasons ago here at Notre Dame. And the Notre Dame fans are clamoring for those old victories of the Rockne era. They've been on hard times, the Irish had. They lost last week to Miami. They'll be trying to bounce back against an Air Force team that's won 4 of its 6 games, including 2 straight over Notre Dame. And so we'll see things happen here as we present College Football 84. I'm Jim Thacker, and with me is Coach Ed Biles. Coach, Air Force win 2 straight over Notre Dame. That's unusual.
That's unheard of. Up until that time, Jim, Notre Dame had won 11 games in this series. Last 2 years, Air Force wins 30-17. Last year, they came from behind in the 4th quarter. They're behind 22-10. They won the ball game. Kind of a must game for Jerry Faust. He's 1-2 against Air Force, and that's not good enough at this in this university.
And of course, he's got an extra problem today. His first-string quarterback on the sidelines.
Well, Notre Dame has many problems, and I'm not so sure that Air Force is their biggest problem. Right now, the ball club, they've got to kind of regroup. They've got to get confidence in themselves. They have to believe. They've got to get more aggressive. They've got to come out in the second half and play football. They haven't been playing in the second half. I'm sure that concerns a lot of folks.
Great offense by the Air Force.
Oh, the Air Force is just tremendous rushing offense. They're averaging 333 yards rushing a game. Second in the country rushing. They're up there in the scoring, averaging 37.8 points a game. Good offense, out of the wishbone. True option that you don't normally see too much nowadays. Might be an exciting ball game.
Well, Ed, neither you nor I have to tell anybody how important this game is, especially for Notre Dame. And we'll be coming back shortly for the kickoff here in Notre Dame, Indiana. And now back to Bruce Beck.
Thank you, Jim Thacker. We'll be going back to Notre Dame Stadium in just a couple of moments, but first we'd like to take a closer look at this afternoon's football game. Notre Dame comes in averaging 26 points per game. Air Force is averaging 38 points per game. They are currently second in the nation in rushing offense, churning out 333 yards per game. Last year in South Bend, Air Force had to come from behind to defeat the Irish. Notre Dame led 22-10 at one point, but then Air Force fought back to take a 23-22 lead. Notre Dame tried to win it in the end. With 10 seconds remaining, the field goal attempt by Mike Johnston is blocked, and Air Force goes on to the victory 23-22. Jerry Faust, well aware of how tough Air Force is.
Very typical Air Force football team, the way they've been the last couple of years. They're second in the nation as far as rushing offense and second or third in the nation as far as points on the board, and they're an excellent, well-disciplined football team, and we've come against this the last couple of years with them. They're a program that's solid, and they've given us some problems the last couple of years, and so it's going to be a hard-fought football game when we play them this weekend.
Notre Dame may be only 3-2, but they feature one of the nation's top running backs in Alan Pinkett. Falcon head coach Fisher DeBerry marvels at Pinkett's ability.
I don't think there's a better runner in college football today than Alan Pinkett. And certainly he's had outstanding games against us the past 2 years. And, he's certainly, in my estimation, a legitimate candidate for the Heisman Trophy. He's not a big player by physical standards, but he's a guy that he's tough to hem up and hang on to. And I think he's a lot like Tony Dorsett. Defensively, they've got a very impressive defensive front, and there will be a tremendous challenge for our offensive front. I guarantee you. I just hope we can bite them on the knees.
Notre Dame does outweigh Air Force on the line by some 25 to 30 pounds. Well, this series began back in 1964, and Notre Dame owned the rivalry for many years, winning the first 11, but Air Force has come back tough. As Ed mentioned, they've won the last 2, and players like Alan Pinkett of Notre Dame, well, they've never known victory against a tough Air Force club. So Notre Dame with a record of 3-2, meeting Air Force with a record of 4-2. Right now, let's go back to Jim Thacker and Ed Biles in South Bend.
Now, Ed Biles, you can see how important this game is here today between Notre Dame and the Air Force. Looking ahead, Notre Dame's road doesn't get that much easier.
No, they play this game today. They've got South Carolina next week. They're undefeated going into this week's game. Then they go on the road. LSU, Baton Rouge, tough. At Navy, a lot of inspiration there. Then they've got Penn State back here, and they finish up at Southern Cal. A game they need to win, almost a must game today, Jim.
Well, it certainly is from many standpoints, especially for Jerry Faust. That's a big game here against the Air Force with South Carolina, LSU all coming up. As for the Air Force, well, they can look at an optimistic side. Today's game, a victory to me, a big, big bonus. They go into WAC conference play next week, and they can look at a great season coming up.
Well, today's game could be the key to a bowl from their standpoint. They're 4-2. This would make them 5-2. They've got Brigham Young. Then they go Army, New Mexico, Texas, El Paso. If they win 3 of those 4 ball games, you're looking at a team that would be considered in one of the major bowls, probably.
And certainly a victory over Notre Dame would give them a big psychological edge in making the challenge to Brigham Young in the WAC. Certainly Brigham Young has to be the favorite from this point of the season. But this is a big, big game for both these teams, and we'll be back shortly with the opening kickoff. Today's game is brought to you by Michelob Light, an exceptional light beer with a rich, smooth taste. And by Easy Painter, the company that brought you the one-coater paint applicator. And now the new Easy Roller automatic paint roller.
Come on, one more.
No.
The championship of the entire civilized world.
I'll pass.
And the Michelob Light.
I'll serve.
Would good friends really play this hard for a beer? It is Michelob Light, the rich, smooth taste you can compare to any beer you like.
I thought you were tired.
Nope, just thirsty.
Billy Margolis hated to paint. Then he found Easy Roller, the roller that feeds itself automatically. Now Billy paints a room in no time. No messy pans. He just fills the Easy Roller tank once in a while and keeps on rolling. Room after room. It's fast and it's easy.
Hey, Mitch. Mitch, do you have a room I could paint? Huh?
New Easy Roller by Easy Painter. It might make painting fun.
I hate Qantas, not for selling the South Pacific round trip from California for $1,100. Not because they take you to Tahiti and the Great Barrier Reef and New Zealand. I hate Qantas because their deal also brings you to Sydney and me, all for $1,100. Give me a break, Qantas.
In 1976, I won my gold by boxing. It gave me fame, security, good credit, and a name for myself. If you're in the military or civil service, you can get a name for yourself at Devon stores. Sign up and get your gold card from Devon. Instant credit and security and a chance to buy quality merchandise from any of Devon's over 100 stores. Because your name is worth more at a Devon store.
We'll be going back to Notre Dame Stadium. The Fighting Irish taking on the Falcons of Air Force in just a couple of moments. But we also have some other college football coming up for you later tonight on ESPN. And it's a good SEC battle. Two teams that last year were 0-6 in conference play. Well, this year they've turned it around. You'll see it tonight at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. It's Vanderbilt against LSU. Jim McGuire, Jim Simpson, and Paul McGuire will have all the action. That's 7:30 p.m. Vanderbilt comes in 4-1. The Tigers of LSU come in 3-0-1. And these teams have really turned it around this season, are both fighting tough in the Southeastern Conference. Well, the 81st World Series was played last night. Game 3 in Detroit. The Tigers had only 7 hits, but they literally walked by the San Diego Padres 5-2. Let's pick up the action last night. Tigers Stadium. Game 3, all knotted up at 1 apiece. Bottom of the second, Chet Lemon on third, and Marty Castillo lifts a home run to left field off Tim Lawler. Tigers off to a fast 2-0 start. After Lou Whitaker walked, Alan Trammell lined a double down the left field line. Trammell now has 6 hits in the series. Whitaker comes all the way around from first to score, and the Tigers lead 3-0. Greg Booker now in for the Padres. Bases loaded, and Booker walks Larry Herndon still in the second inning. Alan Trammell scores. Tigers lead 4-0, and Dick Williams is not pleased. Now 4-1 Tigers, third inning. After 3 walks by Booker, Kurt Gibson is hit in the foot by a Greg Harris pitch. Darrell Evans comes down the line to score. Tigers now lead 5-1. Meanwhile, Milt Wilcox pitched a fine game, worked 6 innings, struck out 4, allowed 1 run. Padres now batting in the 7th. Defensive play of the night. Watch Chet Lemon go back, make a one-handed stab, saving at least 1 run, and the Tigers' lead is still 5-2. And in the 9th, Willie Hernandez comes in, handles the Padres easily. Garvey hits this fly to Lemon. Ball game over. Tigers with the victory, 5-2. Hernandez gets the save. He worked 2 1/3 innings. Detroit 5-7-0. San Diego 2-10-0. Milt Wilcox gets the win. Hernandez always saves Wilcox. Lawler takes the loss. And after the game, George Grant of SportsCenter was in the locker room with the Detroit Tigers.
Friday night's victory by the Detroit Tigers in Detroit was not a pretty one, but they took advantage of everything the San Diego Padres gave them. In particular, a record-tying total of 11 walks by the Padres. By the time it was all over, it was a 5-2 win for the Tigers, and in the locker room, they were celebrating heading into Saturday's game.
We always take a win. We're not playing very good. We're not hitting, but, you know, that's just one of those things. I was a little concerned we might come into a series like this. I was concerned in the playoffs we might not hit. But we were fortunate we hit the first game. The last 2 games we didn't, and we haven't hit in the first 3 games in the series, so that's 5 games. I'm hoping pretty soon we break out.
Milt didn't have what he had the last couple of times out, but he still was there.
Yeah, he still wins. You know, Milt, he'll tell you the truth, that wasn't one of his better games. You know, that wasn't one of his pretty games.
I didn't have my best stuff, but I was moving the ball around well. We made some good plays in the outfield. I always need those good plays by our team, and that's one way I get around not being able to pitch real well a lot. But, you know, the guys in the bullpen came in and did a good job. Willie came in and did a super job again. Even though he's not throwing the ball real well, I think he doesn't really feel that good. He's been sick for about a month, I think. But he comes in and does a great job every time, and we have to have him.
I don't think we're hitting as good as we can or playing really that exceptional, but we're playing good enough to win. It doesn't matter how you win, just if you win. And I think our defense has been a big difference. It was tonight, the play that Chet Lemon made. Could have turned the game around. I don't know how he caught the ball from right field. I said, Chet, there's no way you're going to catch the ball. But he proved me wrong, I think, after that.
You hit the home run. What did it feel like as you were heading towards first? The smile tells it all right now.
I tell you, I wanted to do a couple cartwheels, a backflip into a round-off, you know, and then just, you know, you got to contain it. But it's the greatest feeling so far I've ever had in baseball.
And we all feel that we're all capable of doing the job, and up and down the lineup, offensively and defensively, we feel we're very strong.
And in championship series, you definitely don't want to, you know, give up 11 walks. But, you know, hey, the guys was trying hard and, you know, just couldn't find the plate. But, you know, I think, you know, for that many walks, you know, they really didn't blow us out the ball game. You know, ended up beating us 5-2. So that just goes to show you that, you know, if we can stop these guys from getting that big inning, then we're going to beat them.
Now, we only gave them 6 hits. It's giving things away. It's not having the opposition earn them. And I don't like to do that. I really don't care too much for base on balls unless we receive them. And some people, I guess, it doesn't bother. To me, it bothers. And it'll cause me to make quick changes. And maybe sometimes that isn't good, but I don't call 4 walks in 1 full inning a quick change, or 4 walks in an inning and 2/3, along with a couple 3 hits making a quick change.
So Willie Hernandez picks up another save for the Detroit Tigers on Friday night. The Tigers take a 2-1 lead in the best-of-7 World Series, with the 4th game scheduled for Saturday in Detroit. At Tiger Stadium at the World Series, George Grand, ESPN.
Game 4 today in Detroit. Eric Schau, his first appearance in the World Series, and Jack Morris, who won Game 1, back on the mound for the Detroit Tigers. And the Tigers are confident because their ace, Jack Morris, is pitching today.
Big guy's coming back. He's been pitching super. He hasn't had a bad game in 5 or 6 ball games.
And he's hungry, you know, and he's had an opportunity to win 2 ball games during the series, and you know, we got our best coming up, so we're looking forward to it.
This is the type of situation where you'd like to see a Jack Morris pitching, and because he can rise to the occasion, and I think he'll do an outstanding job for us.
We proved in the playoffs and in the World Series that we're going to battle back, and you know, tomorrow we got a job cut out for us. You know, we're facing their best pitcher. Although I'm not taking anything away from the other guys, but you know, Morris has been our most consistent starter over the years, and we got to go out. We got to figure out a way to beat him.
We're just moments away from Notre Dame and Air Force here on ESPN. When we come back, we'll have a look at the top 10 college football teams in action today.
My arm!
Rub something on it.
I got Ben Gay. I don't want to go back to work smelling like Ben Gay.
Don't. Try Sports Cream. It smells nice and clean.
Does it work?
Sports Cream has a strong, clinically tested pain reliever. It starts to penetrate immediately to relieve sore muscle pain.
No workout today?
Sure. I feel great. Why?
You, usually smell like Ben Gay.
Not anymore.
Sports Cream, the fast-acting pain reliever that smells great.
This is St. Andrews, America's oldest golf club. We're building a brand new community here. Yes, we want quality, so we chose textured Manville shingles. I think that rugged Manville look is great. And of course, in the attics and walls, there's Manville Gold fiberglass insulation. Plenty of it. For energy savings and extra comfort year-round. When you're building, it's nice to know you've got Manville quality shingles and Manville quality insulation. 2 fine products that make your house a home.
Slim, rich Loris quartz. No wonder more and more people date on Loris Time. Look great on Loris Time. It's elegant quality quartz. All quartz at $9.95 to $54.95. Now people make a splash on Loris Time. With many styles water resistant to 50 or 100 meters, including dual display at $39.95. So wake up, America, to Loris quartz clocks and watches. They're everything except expensive.
Attention to details made North American Van Lines the moving company thousands of American families choose. And today, North American offers you expert moving service and a great moving value. Savings at True Value hardware stores. Call your North American agent for an interstate moving survey and get this savings book worth 25% off these popular products at participating True Value hardware stores nationwide. Now you can make your new house a home. Go North American, a real True Value in moving.
Hello, I'm Jim Simpson in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 7:30 Eastern Time, Saturday night, here on ESPN. 2 great offenses, LSU and Vanderbilt, our game of the week.
And in just a couple of moments here on ESPN, it will be Air Force against Notre Dame from Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend, Indiana. We'd like to tell you about the top 10 college football teams in action today. And the big story, well, the answer to the Hatfields and the McCoys in college football. Number 1, Texas. Number 2, Oklahoma at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. That is a 3:50 start, and it should be a dandy. Temple is against Boston College. The Eagles have not played in 3 weeks. They are 3-0, and Doug Flutie and company looking to get back on the track this afternoon. Wyoming is at number 4, BYU. The Cougars have the longest winning streak in college football during the regular season with 16 consecutive wins. And then in Lincoln, Nebraska, Missouri is at number 5, Nebraska. Coach Tom Osborne of the Cornhuskers feels that the Missouri offense will present a challenge for Nebraska today.
Missouri is still in it. They're undefeated, and Oklahoma, a lot of other schools. And so, you know, sometimes after a team has lost 2 or 3 Big 8 football games, and they're not quite as intense. But that hasn't happened yet. So I think it'll be a great ball game, and we're definitely going to get the biggest defensive test that we've had all year. This is the best offensive football team we've seen by a bunch.
Last week, Nebraska came up with big plays in the victory. One of the passes from Travis Turner, who was 5 for 10. This is the big kind of play Nebraska needs.
The next week against Oklahoma State, it shows the kind of character of the football team they had. They came back, and in a tough football game, must-win type situation, they put the defeat behind them and played a very tough physical defensive struggle most of the day, and then came out on top in the end.
Number 6, Washington is at Stanford. Washington 5-0 on the season. That game will be played at Stanford Stadium. Number 7, SMU with a record of 3-0 is at Baylor 1-3. Big matchup in the Big Ten. Illinois is at Ohio State. Buckeyes looking to bounce back from last week's loss to Purdue. Number 16 and number 9, Florida State. That's a key matchup. Florida State is 4-0-1. Auburn has won their last 3. Oklahoma State, number 10, is idle. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Daly's apple juice is so close to the real thing that sometimes people have a hard time telling it from a real apple. And that's because we aim to keep the natural flavor of real apples in our apple juice. Discover the pure golden goodness of nature's sweetest fruit. It's naturally crisp and refreshing. Just one taste, and you're sure to take a shine to it. Daly's apple juice. Pick some up.
Going back to Notre Dame and Air Force at Notre Dame Stadium in just a couple of moments. Jim Thacker and Ed Biles ready to call the play-by-play. There are also some other key matchups this afternoon in college football as the season really gets into the middle stretch. No score in the first quarter, Minnesota and Wisconsin in a Big Ten contest. Also this afternoon, North Carolina at Wake Forest. In ACC battle, Wake Forest comes in with a record of 3-2. Duke is at Virginia Tech. The Hokies crushed VMI 54-7 last week. Duke has lost 3 straight. They are 1-3. Syracuse 3-2 at West Virginia 4-1. West Virginia's only blemish, a 3-point loss to Maryland. Syracuse has been up and down. Last week they lost to Florida 16-0. Indiana 0-5 is at Michigan State 2-3. The Spartans are flying high after last week's upset of Michigan. Also this afternoon, NC State at Maryland in an ACC contest. Holy Cross will take on Colgate. The Crusaders of Holy Cross, number 2 in the nation in NCAA Division I AA play. Colgate is number 12. Northwestern is at Michigan in Big Ten matchup. Michigan is 2-1. They're still alive in that Big Ten race. Dartmouth 0-3 is at Yale 1-2. Dartmouth's had a lot of trouble on defense. Yale blanked Morgan State last week, and they hope for 2 straight wins this afternoon. Princeton 2-1 is at Columbia 0-3. That's also this afternoon. Let's go back now to Jim Thacker and Ed Biles, Notre Dame and Air Force.
For the 57th consecutive game here at Notre Dame Stadium, a capacity crowd, a sellout of 59,075. We may or may not see all those people here today because the weather has been a little bit on the inclement side. We had rain here earlier today. The temperature's nice, 61 degrees. Humidity 79. You may question that a little bit because it rained up until about a half hour ago. There's a chance we still may get more rain. There was rain early in the hours here on Saturday today, and the field condition, however, is in perfect condition. At Biles, they cover this with a tarp, and it's just fast and dry.
Field's in perfect condition, Jim. Should not be a factor unless it rains some more.
They're the officiating crew from the Collegiate Independent Football Association and the Western Athletic Conference with Vincent Price, the referee, and he'll be assisted by those gentlemen, Eugene Agnes, Stanford Rivers, Vincent Arroyo, John Tierney, and Ken Flaherty. And we'll be having the toss of the coin momentarily. That's Notre Dame, and they're going back to that old traditional uniform worn here in the era of Ara Parsegian. And in this series, which was dominated back in those days by Notre Dame, they won the first 11. However, Air Force has roared back to take the last 2 games, and that's quite a proud moment for the Air Force football history to claim a 2-game winning streak over Notre Dame. But here's Notre Dame wearing their blue jerseys, the gold pants, the gold headgear. They've done away with the stripes there that they had started with here. This is what Notre Dame did here last year. Over 500 yards total offense, but had the misfortune of having what would have been a winning field goal blocked in the last play of the game.
Unimportant. They lost the game, Jim, and that's all the Air Force Academy cared for. They won the last 2 games in this series.
They certainly are. There's Bob Golick's brother, as you see, number 55, Mike Golick, one of the co-captains, and the other co-captains out for the Air Force. We'll have the toss of the coin.
Jim, look at that rushing stat for the Falcons. Look at that rushing stat there. They're averaging 333 yards a game. Second in the nation out of that wishbone offense. Should be very interesting.
Well, second only to the Army team that also runs the wishbone. So maybe that says something about the old wishbone attack that some thought had been wished away. Now here's the official and the toss.
Nancy Storm, Fields it is.
Notre Dame wins.
Defer, all right? He's won and deferred until the second half. You want the ball? Back up this side.
Well, as usual, Jim, the team that wins the toss always defers it now with this new ruling. They get their choice, so they want the ball to start the second half.
I know as a coach you like that rule.
No question. Well, you like to have the ball to start the second half because if you're behind, you tell your team at halftime, we come out, we can get some momentum, we can do things. If you're ahead, you're telling your club, we come out, we can drive the nail in the coffin. So normally when you start the game, you don't see too much happen that first or second series.
Here's Air Force. They've won 4 and lost 2 so far. They're 4th in the nation kickoff returns. They have one of the great kicking teams in the country statistic-wise this year. Their great kick returner, of course, is Scott Thomas, who's averaging 34 yards a kickoff return. Here come the Irish of Notre Dame. Out in the stadium here in Notre Dame, Indiana. As we told you, a crowd of over 59,000 on hand for the game. And there's Jerry Faust, who's been under a little bit of pressure as far as the fans are concerned. The administration here say they're solidly behind him. And there's Fisher DeBerry. In his first year as a head coach, he was an offensive coordinator for Ken Hatfield at the Air Force the last 3 seasons. He learned an awful lot about the wishbone from Jim Brakefield, his old coach at Appalachian State University down in North Carolina. So DeBerry is here today with one of the liveliest offenses in the country.
Well, he really was interesting. Here's the total offense now. Air Force, 424 yards per game. Notre Dame, 305 yards per game. So Air Force has Air Force rushing now. We talked about Air Force, but Notre Dame, 119 yards. That's the lowest ever in the history of Notre Dame football since they've been taking NCAA stats. Their rushing total, lowest ever, Jim.
Air Force has done well at home. There's the total defense. You see that Air Force has held its opponents under 300 yards a game. Probably Notre Dame played a little bit tougher opponents this year. Air Force has won all its games at home. They beat San Diego State, Northern Colorado, when they score the highest total that's been scored in college football this year, 75 points in Division I. And they also defeated Colorado State and Navy, a 2-game winning streak they have coming into this game, but lost their 2 road games at Wyoming and Utah. So they'll be challenged here by Notre Dame today to try and win their first game away from home. Notre Dame will be trying to bounce back after losing to the defending national champion Miami Hurricanes a week ago in the rain here, a game you saw on ESPN. They lost that one 31-13. They lost their opener to Purdue, which happens frequently in that series, as the followers of Midwestern football know. But in between, they had 3 straight wins at Michigan State, Colorado, and at Missouri. So Notre Dame will be trying to bounce back today. A very key game for them, a big game for Air Force. I expect nothing but excitement in this one, Ed Biles.
Well, it's a key game for both ball clubs. Air Force with a chance for the win in the bowl picture. Notre Dame needing a win badly. Jerry Faust needing a win badly, especially against Air Force. This should be a good one. Looking forward to seeing the wishbone that we don't see too often anymore.
John Carney, a sophomore from Centerville, Ohio, will kick off for Notre Dame. He was a walk-on here. Waiting, Scott Thomas, the great returner. They're going to go to the other guy, Rotello, deep in the end zone. He'll down it right there. So Air Force will come out to start its offense at the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. And we'll see the wishbone option attack here. Bart Weiss, a junior who took over 2.5 games ago when Brian Knorr, the starting quarterback of the Air Force, went down. But Weiss has been so solid. Knorr's going to have to win back his job. There's Bart, number 4, a junior from Naples, Florida. He has passed for 188 yards, but he has rushed for 242 yards and scored 5 touchdowns. He'll have Greg Pashusniak and Pat Evans and Jody Simmons in the backfield as the running back. Simmons the left halfback, Pashusniak the right half on this play. They give it to the fullback. Nope, it's a pitch out the other side. And turning the corner over there is Pashusniak, and run out of bounds after a gain of about 3 or 4 by Joe Johnson, the strong safety of Notre Dame.
They really did a good job with that wishbone, Jim. They had you fooled on that first play. Stuck it in that fullback, into the fullback, brought it out, and that's what you're going to see all day long. He runs everything off the option basis. He may give it to that fullback, or he may bring it out. They don't know as they line up what he's going to do.
Tom Coleman comes in with the play as the wide receiver. Weiss now looking at 2nd down and 7 from his own 23-yard line. This time it's a rollout keep, and Weiss going to keep the ball. Needs one block here to turn the corner. Got the first down. 35-yard line he goes. Nifty game by Bart Weiss. It was a run all the way. Good block by Jody Simmons. Really sprung him as he turned the corner. There's the offensive back with Weiss, Evans, Pashusniak, as we told you, and Jody Simmons. That's a powerful running backfield, and they've divided the inside the receivers, rather. Ken Carpenter, who's the son of the great Lone Leanne of Army fame, and Hugh Brennan is the tight end. Interior linemen, Craig Abenson, Fred Futrell, Don Oberdick, Mark Melcher, and Dave Sutton. They'll give away some pounds here to this bigger Notre Dame team. But Air Force has a first down. And here's the pitch out again. Going to the left side is Pashusniak. Gets around the corner over the 40-45. And Air Force is rolling with this wishbone attack. And again, it was Simmons who sprung a good block that time for Pashusniak, and Troy Wilson got him from the strong cornerback post.
Well, Notre Dame looks like they're trying to take the quarterback. Here's a replay where they're trying to take the fullback and the quarterback away, but they're letting the pitch away. See the inside. You see him convert, take that away, come down, take the quarterback. But he makes a pitch. Now there's no force person out there to make that play. They're going to have to make an adjustment early. Otherwise, they'll pitch it out all day long, Jim.
Notre Dame seemed to 10 on those first early plays, Ed, to be trying to stop the fullback and the quarterback. And they've been pitching it out to that trailing man, and it's been working for them. Now they come to the right side to give it the fullback. Evans on a slant on the inside belly play to the 50-yard line. Hit down by John McCabe, an inside linebacker for Notre Dame. A pick of about 3. Defensively, Notre Dame a 3-man line. Gann, Griffin, and Klein. They've got some injuries this Notre Dame team has, and some key players who will be out for this game. But look out for Mike Gann. There are the linebackers. Mike Kovaleski's playing with an injured hand today. Mike Golick, a great one. McCabe and Kovaleski inside. Banks and Golick on the outside. And the deep backs. Hiawatha Francisco's been converted now to the backfield. Pat Ballage, Troy Wilson Johnson, all outstanding deep defenders. Now the little counter play goes to Simmons. He tries to get behind his own left guard, and what a Klein. 278 pounds, 6'9". Notre Dame's defensive right tackle was there to stop him after a short game. And Air Force faces a 3rd down play here as they go into Notre Dame territory for the first time.
Well, so far they've had great success running the option where they bring it out and make the option pitch to the outside. Be interesting to see where they come back with that play on 3rd down.
3rd and 4. We'll see if they go to the air here also. Tom Coleman's the wide receiver to the right side, a senior. They got the full house backfield. Notre Dame with a 5-man front. And they give it the fullback Evans. He will not get the first down. Evans tries the middle, and Klein again was the first man to meet him. Gets just inside the 45. And I wonder if Air Force might go for it here on 4th and 1.
Well, it was an interesting call. Talking to Fisher DeBerry yesterday, Jim, he told us that they did a lot of audible at the line of scrimmage. Appeared the quarterback saw something in that front that he wanted to change around.
Here comes the punting team. So Mark Simon, the sophomore from Whitewater, Wisconsin, will be in the punt. Notre Dame, Troy Wilson is going to go back deep as the receiver, and a beautifully high kick. This was great hang time. Fair catch called for, and taken by Wilson inside the 10. So Air Force bottles Notre Dame up inside its own 10-yard line, but the Fighting Irish now will get the ball for the first time. And here comes Scott Grooms, the biggest moment of his college football career, a senior from Greenfield, Ohio, who came here as a freshman with Kiel, left school, went to Miami, Ohio, then transferred back to Notre Dame. And last week when Steve Berline went down with an injured shoulder, Grooms, right here, number 10, 197-pounder, who's thrown only 3 passes all year, got his chance. So Notre Dame gets the ball. No score, first period from Notre Dame.
Emmy winners, Scotch Video Cassettes, for having pioneered and perfected videotape.
Watching your favorites day after day, keeping the wonder play after play, knowing the color and brightness will stay.
Only from Scotch, our cobalt encapsulated oxide for world-class clarity.
The world watches, world watches, world watches Scotch.
The financial world, where investing is like being on the receiving end of a Jimmy Connors serve. Here you need a Paine-Webber broker to guide you, to back you up, to offer action-oriented recommendations, to help turn the unpredictable to your advantage. Because at Paine-Webber, we believe that the quality of life just might depend on the quality of your investment.
Well played, Bob. Thanks, Jimmy. Thank you, Paine-Webber. What do I have to do? Open up a Paine-Webber account?
Well, there'll be excitement in Tiger Country tonight. LSU entertaining Vanderbilt. Notre Dame's first play of the ball game. They're on 9-yard line. Inside to the fullback, Chris Smith. And not much happening, but he gets it out over the 10-yard line. Stacked up around the 12. Chris Funk, one of the stars last year as Air Force One, hit on the play. Grooms has Alan Pinkett, who started the season as a Heisman Trophy candidate, and Chris Smith in the backfield with him, Pinkett at tailback. The receivers, little Joe Howard, who's got quite a story here with his basketball play, Mark Bavaro at tight end, Jackson. There's the offensive line. They outweigh the Air Force 40 to 50 pounds per man. So it's a big advantage. Second down, about 8 yards to go. The pitch to Pinkett, cutting to the left side, and he runs into a host of white shirts. A big wave that take him down close to the 12-yard line. Mike Chandler, a linebacker from Waterloo, Iowa, number 60. And there's the defensive line. DeRuiter and Ziegler at the ends, Spunk and Nicholas on the inside. for the Air Force and the linebackers. Mackey is a good one. He was one of the solid players, a defensive player of the week in the Western Athletic Conference last week. We'll get to the secondary later. Notre Dame set to go on its first third down. They need close to 7 yards, about 6.5 to go. And Grooms for his first pass to his own 5-yard, out the flat, a safe pass to Pickett, and he's going to get the first down. Pickett does some nifty running, caught it right out on the flat behind the line of scrimmage, and gets it out for Notre Dame first down before Tom Rotello can hit him down.
Well, he did a good job with this execution. That's what you call a read screen. When the quarterback comes back, he's looking downfield now. The receivers downfield aren't open. Toss out. You can see the lineman coming out, get in front of the play. There comes Big Kelly. They kick out block. Pickett turns it up inside, makes a first down. Good call, good execution.
Pickett, of course, known mostly for his running. Had over 1,300 yards here last year, but he's also has tremendous hands, a good receiver. First down, the 22-yard line of Notre Dame. Scott Grooms, exciting moment for him. The adrenaline must be flowing. And there's a delay. Grooms did not get it off in time. Was the Air Force defense jumping around? Is that bothering that much, Ed?
Well, he was trying to audible, and I'm sure this, Grooms' first ball game, they came up here a little bit late. They were jumping around, moving around, and he was trying to audible to the front. Just took too long to do it.
And the defensive backs, Scott and Thomas, the safeties. Dwan Wilson and Tom Rotello, the corners for the Air Force. They call the defense, the Air Force, the Claw, under coordinator Bruce Johnson. And they ranked 20th in the nation this week. They've given up only 129 yards a game rushing. And Notre Dame here, we'll see if they can get going. They thought maybe the rain might hurt Notre Dame's passing, but the rain has stopped. The field's in great condition. First and 15. Here's the draw play to Pickett from tailback with room. Burst through over the 25, up close to the 30-yard line, and Pickett gets back the penalty plus a bonus as he's hit down by Scott Thomas just short of the 30-yard line.
Well, Pickett again audibled up there. The Air Force had overshifted to the wide side of the field. He went back. They ran a lead draw play up through the middle there. You saw the lead back going up through there. Pickett now, this may have been Pickett's longest run of the year so far. He hadn't been making much yardage running the ball.
Well, he ran for 20 yards in one play. That's the biggest he's had. There's what he's done this year. Only 328 yards. He's only about half what he had a year ago, although against the Air Force, he had a tremendous game last season, 197 yards. He's off to a good start here today. Second down and 3 at the 29. Air Force really jumping around, trying to confuse Notre Dame. They give it to Pickett again, tries to veer outside, and he is slammed down hard. I think he's short of the first down, but let's see. It's going to be awfully close around the 32-yard line, 31.5. Number 74 made the stop, John Ziegler, defensive right tackle. Ricky Gray was in there and tried to come up with a block. Or he comes into the ball game, replacing Bavaro at tight end, and it is a first down. So just barely made it. So Notre Dame has brought the ball out of a deep hole. Back inside its own 10. The Fighting Irish has come out to its 32. And now Grooms has got some room.
Well, they're going to have to hurry up, though, Jim. They're sending plays in. A 25-second clock stopped. It's already down to 13 seconds now before they got the play in there. So if he tries to do any audible, he'll be in trouble again.
Both Jackson and Howard, the wide receivers, come down here at the bottom of your screen. They give it to Pickett again. Pickett looks for a hole in the middle. Runs right into Terry Mackey. And Mackey grabs him and gets lots of help to take him down. Pat Malakowski was also on the play for the Air Force. They got to spot it at the 35 for a pickup of 3, and it'll be second down and 7 for Notre Dame.
Well, that Mackey's some linebacker. He was involved in 20 tackles against Navy last week.
Also a great wrestler. You know, he was in the NCAA Wrestling Championships last year, and it takes something just to make that. So he's quite an athlete, 227-pound sophomore. They pitch it to Pickett again, trying to turn the corner. No, nothing doing. Air Force closes the door with Mike Chandler, an inside linebacker, who with good pursuit went out that time and had Pickett's number. So they go to Pickett one time too many right here for the moment. And it's going to bring up third and fairly long. 6 yards to go at the 36-yard line.
Well, Air Force jumping that defensive line around. That time they moved to the strong side of the formation, which was a side that Notre Dame was trying to run the pitch. They were right where he was going.
Good shot right there. Larry Nicholas, number 62, plays the nose guard. Come back from a broken leg, played well. Straight drop for Grooms. First pass, Grooms. Grooms fires a sideline low, intended for the tight end Bavaro. and it's incomplete. He was being covered over here by Scott, but Mackey was in really putting the pressure on Grooms. And so Notre Dame, after picking up a couple of first downs out to the 35-yard line, will have to punt it back now to the Air Force. Scott Thomas dropping back into safety, and Jerry Faust's team trying to bounce back after its loss to Miami, which was a bitter one indeed in the rain a week ago. Now we'll give back the football with no score. 8:28 to go in the first quarter. Mike Vericola averaging 40.5, has had one of 51 yards this year as a senior from Dallas. Takes his time, gets it away. Here comes Thomas. He's very dangerous. Thomas looking for a block and lunges forward over the 35. Thomas, one of the nation's leaders, number 5 this week in the NCAA. There he is, number 29, averaging 15 yards a return. Didn't get it that time. Notre Dame's been very effective on punt coverage. And so Air Force will start from its own 37, but that's good field position.
They did a good job of getting some extra yardage. The punt was high enough. Notre Dame's coverage wasn't really that fast coming down through there, so he picked up a little yardage he might not normally get.
Bart Wise comes in, and we're going to get a timeout with 8:19 to go in the first quarter from Notre Dame. No score. Coming up tomorrow, triple header in racing on ESPN. The good old boys will be running at North Wilkesboro on the NASCAR Holly Farms 400. And the Fuji 1000 far away in Japan, the World Endurance Series. And then the Kartstrows 150 in Phoenix, all on ESPN. First down play for Weiss. Weiss on the keep again. Going to pitch it outside to Szczesniak. Turns the corner. Gets up over the 45. Boy, Szczesniak has shown some quickness turning the corner on that option pitch. He was stopped by Kovaleski.
Well, once again, Jim, they're having success with the pitch. Notre Dame has started the ball game with the idea taking the fullback away, forcing the quarterback to make the pitch. And right now, Air Force is reading it perfectly. That outside receiver is releasing off the line of scrimmage, which takes the force with him. And they're very slow coming back to it.
That play was good for 9 yards. It's second down and only 1. Wide to the right comes Ken Carpenter, the lonely end here for the Air Force. Left half Simmons, Szczesniak at right, and here's the keep. Now they pitch it back to Simmons. Simmons gets a block over the 50. He's into Notre Dame territory and rolling. 30 on the 27-yard line. Nifty run by Jody Simmons, a senior from San Antonio. And it was Ballage who made the stop. A super block by Szczesniak. And are these halfbacks blocking for each other?
Well, once again, Notre Dame has taken the fullback and the quarterback away, but they're not getting. There's a fake. He's come down the line. There comes the man for him. Makes the pitch. He's wide open out there. Now, there's no force coming. Nobody up through there. They switched positions now. Simmons went over to the halfback position. Might have cut Notre Dame a little bit off balance. They're going to have to do something to make some kind of adjustment to that outside play.
Any question now why Air Force has one of the top ground games in America? You're seeing it here at Notre Dame. First down at the Notre Dame 27. Ball back up the middle. Pat Evans crosses the 25, and he is pulled down about the 23 by Mike Griffin, the nose tackle. Big block opened up there by Don Oberdick, the center for the Air Force. But the Falcons now rolling, and we may get a timeout here by Notre Dame. A player was shaken up coming over here. Number 94 is Griffin, who made that tackle, and they're going to take him out. Terry Winley, a senior from Cincinnati, goes in to replace him in the middle spot of Notre Dame's 3-man front. They use 3 tackles, 2 outside backers and 2 inside. That's the scheme, a new defensive philosophy here this year for Jerry Faust in his 4th season at Notre Dame. Second about 6 for the Air Force. Fullback has got it again, and then there's Evans inside the 20. Nope, I'm sorry, they threw me again. Weiss stopped that time by Francisco.
Well, take a look now, Jim, and the fans watch this. Take a look at the size of the splits in the Air Force offensive line. They're taking huge splits. When they're running around the ball inside, they're going to take those huge splits, trying to get Notre Dame to widen their defensive plays out. That time, Notre Dame got penetration. The key to stopping this is getting penetration.
That's about a 5-yard loss on the play. It'll be 3rd down 11. That's the first loss inflicted by Notre Dame's defense here today. Now let's see if we see Weiss go to the air. They got 2 wide receivers. Bard Weiss is yet to throw the football. Here's the fake inside. Now he pitches it outside. There's Szczesniak getting outside the corner of the 20, down close to 15-yard line. And it may be a first down. I think it will be. Troy Wilson in the backfield for Notre Dame. Jody Simmons leading the way again for Szczesniak, and it's first down for the Air Force.
Well, again, I'm becoming redundant. They're doing the same thing. They're taking the fullback play away, and they're taking the quarterback play away. But the lead outside, here we see a shot of it now. As he comes down the the line of scrimmage. You see the splits again as he comes down the line of scrimmage. There's no one out there. The receivers are going off. They're probably playing man-to-man. Now you got those linebackers trying to chase you. See the block being thrown downfield? There they are.
No score, but Air Force is threatening here and down deep in Notre Dame territory. A little over 6 minutes to go in the first quarter, and the Air Force has a first down at the Notre Dame 15. Mike Haywood has gone into lineup, and right now we get a timeout. So we'll be coming back as Air Force will have it first and 10. No score with this team in the white. The Air Force is rolling, and we'll be rolling again here tonight on ESPN from what they used to call the pit down in Baton Rouge, Tiger Stadium, as LSU entertains Vanderbilt, two of the surprise teams in what may be shaping up as the toughest football conference in America this year, the SEC. But Jim Simpson, Paul McGuire will be down there, and what action that should be, Ed Dials.
Should be an excellent ball game tonight.
Here we go, Air Force first and 10. Here comes Wise, pitches it out here to Simmons. Simmons turns the corner at the 10. Simmons on a slant to the 5. Boy, they're really running Notre Dame's corners ragged here in the first quarter as Air Force time and again turns the corner for huge chunks of yardage. Watch this one.
Well, here you come again, but this is not the cornerback's fault. They have to go off for the receivers. If they leave the receivers alone, they'll throw the halfback pass. Really a wide sweep, but the inside linebackers are going to have to come in. They're going to have to get the safeties back into it. Here he is, just a shoulder tackle.
That's a 10-yard gain on the play. It's first and goal for the Air Force, about a football length inside the 5-yard line, double tight end. Hugh Brennan, Roger Teague, both in the lineup for Fisher DeBerry's Falcons. First down play. Here's the keep on the quarterback, and Weiss going to eat it. Well, he ran into trouble. They had the pitch man covered in Pat Ballage that time, and they made the adjustment Notre Dame did, and they came up to stop the play.
Oh, I was surprised on that with Jim. If that's the first one he hasn't made the pitch, and Johnson comes up limping, they're going to have to take him out of there probably. The way he's limping off the field, and I'm sure they're taking a timeout because of his, looks like it's his ankle as he's come limping off the field.
James Bobb is coming in to replace Joe Johnson, a strong safety for Notre Dame. Faust had said he might move Francisco to strong safety and bring Troy Wilson over to play free safety and use somebody else at quarterback, perhaps Mike Haywood.
Well, there's no question they have a lot of injuries in this Notre Dame football team, and it's hard when you have to keep changing people around.
Air Force trying to get in the end zone first. Second and goal for the Notre Dame 5-yard line. Quarterback's got it. Here's the pitch out, and here comes the man Simmons to score. Easy score for Jody Simmons, a senior halfback, and the wishbone has taken it in for the Air Force as the Falcons break on top with 5:38 to go in the first quarter. Boy, that was a beautiful drive from down around their own 32-yard line.
Well, it's the same play they ran before, though. This time he made the pitch. He was wide open on the pitch before. There's the pitch. Again, there's no force. There's no one out there. All he's going to do is run it in. Notre Dame is going to have to make some adjustments. They're going to have those outside linebackers either stunting a little bit to get them outside, or those inside linebackers have to loosen up there. You have to get someone out there.
That's the 5th touchdown score this year by Jody Simmons as the Air Force now takes the lead. End to try with the point, Carlos Mateos. And he's got it right through there. Carlos Mateos kicks the extra point. And so the Air Force jumps its lead to 7-0 over Notre Dame. And the fans here will be yelling for a rally. Had the booing here last week for the first time that many can recall in Notre Dame history.
Well, that could be a big play. That 6-0. That can loom big in most football games when they don't make that. So what's happening now, Jim, is a lot of times you're playing a team that using the formation you haven't looked much. They have not seen much wishbone this year in practice and preseason. Looking at it for the first time, sometimes it's difficult for your players to adjust early in the game. Notre Dame safeties, outside linebackers, you can't blame the corners. They have to go off and cover those receivers.
I respect the correction. They call the kick no good. They're just wide, and so it remains 6-0. That is Carlos Mateos, soccer-style kicker. Matter of fact, he's quite a soccer player. And he'll do the kicking. He does all the placement kicking. And retreating for Notre Dame, 33 is Hiawatha Francisco. And number 81 is Tim Brown. For Notre Dame is a wide receiver, a freshman from Dallas, Texas. Francisco, sophomore, comes from Jerry Fausto High School in Cincinnati. 10th in the NCAA with kickoff returns, the Fighting Irish. Of course, Air Force ranks a little higher than that. They're in the top 5.
Well, I'm sure Air Force is really happy to come here and jump on top of them and get that early lead, because the one thing you want to do to a football team is struggle is get ahead of them.
And Coming over here is Brown. They kick it to Brown. Short now. Goes back. One of the short guys has got it. That looks like fullback Chris Smith. And over the 20-yard line. And Notre Dame now takes over at a little bit better spot than they did at start the game. There's the scoring drive. 63 yards, we told you. Took them 8 plays. A little over 2.5 minutes. Simmons on the option pitch out made the final 5 yards. And the Air Force lead. Kevin Martin made that stop on the kickoff. But Notre Dame now trying to get something started. Scott Grooms is still the quarterback. The tailback is Alan Pickett. Fullback is Chris Smith. And here's the pitch to Pickett. Now he goes back on the flea flicker, and Grooms is going deep. He's got his man Jackson out there, but it's over his head. Notre Dame going to the tricks here in the first half. The flea flicker pitch back to Grooms, and Jackson was open. Wilson recovering, trying to get there, but the ball was just simply overthrown.
There's any question about Grooms' arms. He showed it there. He put that ball in there about 60 yards. Good play, good call. The Irish needed something to loosen up a little bit, maybe get Air Force thinking a little bit more about the passing game than cramming up there and playing all the run.
Now they face 2nd and 10. Tim Brown is coming replacing Joe Howard. He goes out wide, both wide receivers at the right. That's the wide side of the field. Grooms had a couple of things to get loosened up on. Here he comes. Now fakes to Pickett on the play action. Here's Grooms. Drills it over there. And it's hit down. Ooh, what a hit on Tim Brown by A.J. Scott. Boy, Scott really killed him over there after Brown had caught that crossing pattern, but he pays for it. Just watch this.
Oh, what a hit as we see this. Here's the crossing pattern. I see him coming across the field. Watch him catch it. Watch the hit here by A.J. Scott. Boy, that's like a Ford running over a rooster when they make a hit like that.
All that for just 4 yards. I don't know whether it's worth it or not. That must be running through Tim Brown's mind. A young freshman, but he's getting an introduction here to college football. Certainly today, if he hasn't had it before. 3rd down and 6 for the Irish. 2 wide receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Both Howard and Jackson out the left side. There goes a penalty flag down. There's one over the middle. Great catch over here by Brown, and he stumbles out the 30, but the penalty flag had been dropped, I think, before the snap. So it could have been a dead ball foul. If so, well, it's going to be against Notre Dame, illegal procedure. But I think Air Force will take the play. But it may not be allowed to. May not be allowed to.
No, it'll be 4th down. I believe that was a motion penalty with a man coming in motion. Started up the line of scrimmage too soon. It's going to be 4th down. They'll turn this down and force Notre Dame to punt.
All depends on whether it was a dead ball foul or not. Watch the referee, Vincent Price, and listen.
We have an illegal procedure on the blue. Decline.
Was after the snap. So Notre Dame has to give up the football. Air Force gets it back with over 4.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Air Force leads 6-0. And the punt for Notre Dame, Mike Baracola. And back is the explosive Scott Thomas. Single safety for the Air Force. Averaging 15 yards a return and along with a 54 yards this year. And his coach, Fisher DeBerry, says he's going to break one sooner or later. Here's the punt down. Here comes Thomas up the 32. Thomas at the 35. Not this time. Notre Dame's got him covered, and down he goes around the 37-yard line. And that's where the Air Force will start this time. 1st and 10. It's about where they had it back a few minutes ago, and they marched all the way to score.
Well, they're starting off in good field position. Now they have the ball up on the 37-yard line. They came out, ran that option to the outside, really made yardage.
And Ed, Mike Brown is coming in the game for the first time in 3 games for the Air Force. He's their All-American candidate at running back. Had a great season last year. He hurt Notre Dame almost 150 yards. So here's the senior from Kansas City. Been out for a couple of games. He's back in there. Number 3 is the running back in the backfield now. He'll team up here with 25, Jody Simmons. So they've taken out Koshusniak. Roll out, pass attempt by Weiss. Weiss turning the corner, going to keep it and take the loss. Weiss driven out of bounds for a loss back inside the 35 by Robert Banks, a sophomore. First time we've seen that play, we saw a roll out and keep by Weiss, but I think that time he wanted to throw.
Well, sometimes as a coach, you outthink yourself, and I'm sure Fisher DeBerry had just called again. He wouldn't have made it. He figured, well, we may have set up for a play-action pass. That's what it was supposed to be, coming down off the option and wanted to throw the ball just to keep Notre Dame honest.
Robert Banks, number 56, a sophomore from Hampton, Virginia. And if you care about those things, he was National High School Player of the Year, according to the Columbus Touchdown Club, when he came out of high school down in the Tidewater area. 2nd and 13. There's a keep by Weiss. They got it. Weiss is collared for a loss at the 34, and it's Banks again.
But Jim, the key to that play was Notre Dame has made an adjustment. Golick that time was out there on Brown covering the pitchman. There was no one open for him to make the pitch to. He had to hang on the football. Now Notre Dame has made that adjustment.
All right, so a little chess game going. Now it's up to Air Force to come back with a counter move. Ken Carpenter brings the play in at split end. Air Force facing the need of a big play right here. It's 3rd down and 14 at their own 34. Davis to the fullback. Up the middle goes Evans. Doesn't get much. Jerry Winley stops him about the original line of scrimmage. So it'll be 4th, about 10 yards to go. Let's see where they spot it at the 38. So make it 4th and 10. Punting unit comes on, and Notre Dame will get back to the football in quick order this time. First time they've stopped Air Force.
That's exactly right. Jerry Wiley had been an offensive lineman up till last week. He's out of LaSalle High School in Cincinnati, Ohio. They moved him to defense because of the injuries they'd had in that position.
Troy Wilson, the deep man for Notre Dame, here to receive the kick. Howard is also back there for the Irish. Here's the punt, and Mark Simon gets it away. Twisting kick. Wilson hits a hit in front of him. He goes directly out of bounds at the 30-yard line. So Notre Dame, this time, is going to come up with fairly good field position at its own 30, trailing by just 6 points with 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. And the Irish fans are roaring now for a rally behind Jerry Faust, the embattled coach of Notre Dame.
Well, they need to get the running game going, Jim. That's normally their bread and butter, but so far the baker hasn't been baking and the butterman hasn't been coming. They have to establish this running game to keep some of the pressure off the young grooms at the quarterback position.
The rain, which had stopped, now is beginning to come down again. And the ball game is Scott Grooms at quarterback. Grooms gives it to Pinkett, his All-American tailback, turns the corner up to the 40-yard line. He's got a first down for Notre Dame, I believe. And a penalty is going to be tacked on to the Air Force. Personal foul for hitting Pickett after he was driven out of bounds by Scott Thomas.
Well, again, as we talked about the chess game that goes on, Notre Dame now, early series, Air Force was overshifting their line to the wide side of the field. Notre Dame came out this time, ran that play into the short side of the field, and they had difficulty getting the force.
We're going to keep track of Pickett's yardage here today. He needs 100 yards to catch the immortal George Gipp on Notre Dame's all-time list of rushes. A little concern right there by Fisher DeBerry, a young first-year coach of the Air Force. Penalty takes the ball to the Air Force territory. First time Notre Dame's been down here, isn't it?
Well, I think that was a close call. I believe Fisher was a little bit concerned that call was made in front of the Notre Dame bench. You know, he didn't throw him down. He was hanging on to him. Might be a little slippery. Sometimes it's hard to stop when you're in that position on the sideline.
Well, Scott Grooms, he followed Art Schleister back in their high school in Greenfield, Ohio. Fumble! And let's see who's going to be Notre Dame, I believe. But no, wait a minute. Air Force may have it. Nope, Notre Dame's got it. Recovered by a fullback, Chris Smith, number 32. Larry Nichols was in there and had a chance for the Air Force. Notre Dame stalled momentarily after getting into Air Force territory. That'll be no gain. It'll be 2nd and 10 at the 44.
Yeah, you're always concerned about that when you got a new quarterback who hadn't played that much. He's got to ride that center and stay with him. Kelly's an All-American, a great pro prospect at that center position.
Jackson to the left, Howard to the right for Notre Dame in the eye. Grooms and quickly out to Howard, and it's broken up. He couldn't hang on to it, and Wilson almost had a chance to pick it off. The left cornerback for the Air Force. Intended for little Joe Howard. What a favorite he's been here at Notre Dame in his football and basketball play, carrying 2 sports. But he says, you know, I'm just kind of got to keep moving.
Well, I like what I've seen of Grooms right now. He audibled to that play. Howard split and then split out wider. He recognized one on coverage. Howard tried to run before he caught the football.
Now they got single coverage on Howard this time from the left side. Grooms on a deep drop. Grooms on the backfield. Fullback. Smith can't hold it. He had to go to his release man. Both deep receivers, Howard and Jackson, were covered down around the 10-yard line by the Air Force. And the drop pass brings on 4th and 10 for Notre Dame. So the Irish stalls after getting into the Air Force territory. And in comes Mike Duracola. If anything, Notre Dame has held an edge in the kicking game so far. Duracola comes in. Thomas, of course, awaits for the Air Force. Ooh, close. Well, he's going to have to snap there. Going to let it go, and Notre Dame will down it inside the 10. Great coverage down there by Francisco, and so the Air Force will be backed up in its deepest spot of the game, 1st and 10 at its own 8-yard line. Hiawatha and Francisco went sailing down under that punt and downed it at the 8-yard line. Thomas tried to decoy by signaling a fair catch and then letting the ball hit over his head, hoping it would bound in the end zone, but that was a great kick.
Well, that's a great, the key to that was the fact that Vericola was able to get the hang time, hold it up there for Francisco to get down and cover. Francisco and Wade, excellent special team player for the Notre Dame team.
Last time, Notre Dame stopped the Air Force option play. Let's see what they do out of the wishbone here. Mike Brown is back in at left halfback. Fullback Evans up the middle again. Gets it most a yard. Hit at the 9-yard line and taken out by Mike Griffin on no tackle. Big sophomore. Boy, that's a big Notre Dame line. Griffin's 254. Yan 256. Klein 278 and 6'9". Inside linebackers go 228 and 218. But Golick, an outside linebacker, is 257 and Banks 234. Air Force giving up some weight even here to Notre Dame's defense. On 2nd and 9, keep this time by Weiss. Now pitches it back, cutting inside Sims, and Notre Dame covers the play. Simmons gets over the 10-yard line, and he's tripped up over there, so it'll be short of a first down by plenty. Greg Vengeance was the man they got him for the Irish. So Weiss has got to think of something else. His pet plays have been clicking so well. Now suddenly being stopped by Notre Dame.
Well, Notre Dame's made the adjustment, as we said. They, instead of playing man, now they're playing a lot of zone with that cornerback out there. Instead of having to go off with a receiver, can come up and play the run, and the safety is going back to back him up in case it is a pass.
We're in the final minute of the first quarter. Air Force leads 6-0 as they face 3rd and 6. Here Weiss after play action fake. Weiss going deep down the middle of the tight end. And it is incomplete. Brennan got a hand on it at the 45. Heavily covered. And Weiss really threw that ball into a crowd.
And that's their first pass, Jim. Everything up to this point has been all runs. A couple of times they wanted to pass, but they turned into runs. That's their first pass of the day. Brennan almost made a great catch. He had that one hand out there and almost pulled it in. Notre Dame now should wind up getting good field position, opportunity to maybe move and get back into the ball game.
There's Brennan. Boy, he tried to make a one-hand catch a la Willie Mays and didn't work. Mark Simon comes in to punt from out of his own end zone. Back is Troy Wilson for Notre Dame. Left-footed kicker gets it away. It's a beauty. Wilson has to backpedal all the way to his 42. Goes back to the 42-yard line. He's going to be stopped because of the 45. So that gets it out of a danger spot on Mark Simon's nifty punt. Steve Sigler went down to make the tackle under the kick, and Notre Dame will now take it at its 47. But the Irish gradually getting better field position.
They're starting out with great field position. Wilson actually could have made more yardage. One thing he's going to have to learn, when you're back there, you can't jump around. Catch that ball, make a decision to go, even if you make the wrong decision. But when you're moving around back there, that cover team is going to be right down on top of you.
Notre Dame goes to the split backs for the first time. And they give inside fullback Chris Smith. Drives it forward for a short gain. Remember tonight, 7:30 Eastern Time. It'll be Vanderbilt, LSU from Baton Rouge with Jim Simpson and Paul McGuire.
Well, that's the kind of play that Notre Dame should have success with. They got the bigger players, the bigger offensive linemen, run the old Adam deep offense where you just run at people. They didn't fire off real good. That offensive line has to come off to make the running game go.
Well, that's the end of the first quarter here at Notre Dame with the score. The Air Force 6, Notre Dame nothing.
Sat down with Mom, talked to Dad. Can't get it together, makes you feel sad. You know you can do it, you wonder where. You want it soon because you really care. The service can help you so you not only get better, you really grow. Talking Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. They'll take you, train you, show you the way. You'll work hard, get decent pay in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Prove you can make it. Prove it to all. Serving your country and walking tall in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. You've got it together. They'll see in a glance. Thanks to the services, you got the chance in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. It's a great place to start.
Okay, miss. What's with the phone booth?
Oh, we're just proving a point.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Well, the fact is the Toshiba BD3301 is so small you can fit 26 in an ordinary phone booth.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so sophisticated. Advanced fiber optics, a fast 12 copies a minute.
Edge copies, Joe? Nice set of prints, ma'am.
That's Toshiba, Joe. Quality in, quality out.
Frank, maybe you better call this in.
Can't, Joe.
Why not?
Phone booth full of Toshiba copiers.
Uh-huh.
Back in the Irish, getting his chance here today with Berline injured. Gives it tailback Pickett. Pickett trying to find an opening up the middle. Not much of a crease there. Hit by John Ziegler, the right tackle, and Mike Chandler, an inside linebacker with Terry Mackey helping out for the Air Force defense. Their number 7 is Steve Berline, who came up with a shoulder separation last week against Miami. He was the key man, important to the Notre Dame hopes this year, taking over at quarterback.
Well, you saw him signaling the plays in from sideline, getting it from the offensive coaches upstairs, relayed to him. He gives a signal.
Brown and Howard are the wide receivers here for Notre Dame. Inside handoff to the fullback, Smith, on a fake pitch out. And Smith is very close to first down. Matter of fact, I think he's got it down the Air Force 42-yard line before Scott Thomas can stop him. It is first down for Notre Dame.
Well, those last 3 plays on this first down drive now, Jim. Again, the offensive line is firing out, and they're going straight at people. Watch the line come off the line of scrimmage down here and go straight ahead into people. You see them? They pull the guard there, got a little outside block. Here comes Smith up through there, making error. That's what they have to do to run the ball. They're not going to make a living running outside.
Take advantage of their weight advantage. The guards are 276 and 277. Tackles 272 and 274. There's a fumble again. And Grooms is able to cover it for Notre Dame. Take the short loss, but hang on to the football.
Well, that's a wet ball, and again, the new quarterback, he probably hasn't worked that much with Kelly up to this week, and that little center quarterback exchange and repetition, there's a little different feel the way each quarterback puts his hands underneath the center.
Certainly puts Grooms on a little bit of a hole, having to start this series now 2nd and 12 at the 44. Johnny Askin was in there, too, for Notre Dame. He's playing in place of Larry Williams right now, right guard. Back to the eye, they pitch it to Pickett. It's been the bread and butter play. Turns outside, crosses the 40 and down to the 37. Gets it back about 5 yards of the play. Dwan Wilson and Scott Thomas. Chris Smith was out leading the block that time for number 20, Pickett, the All-American.
Well, it's just a pitch return, pitched out, got the lead blocker going in front of him. You see Pickett all by himself trying to make a little move inside, trying to get back out the outside. They get low and underneath him and take those legs out from underneath him.
You know, Pickett had surgery, and there's some who think maybe he's not quite as quick as he used to. He's not having the year he had a year ago, but he's still a dangerous back. 3rd down and 6 to go for Notre Dame. Grooms almost slips. Grooms fires downfield. Man is there is Will Brown, and he's got it for a first down inside the Air Force 20-yard line.
Well, the first 2 times he went back to pass, he had people open, and I believe this young man can throw the ball. They can make some yardage past it. Here you go. See Pickett coming out, looking at it from down the way you see it in the trenches there, rolling out to the outside. Now when he gets outside, difficult pass to throw. Going to your left, throwing back across your body. Does an excellent job of getting that in there to Brown.
Notre Dame's averaging 187 yards a game passing. If they maintain that, it'll be the best since the championship year of 1977 here at Notre Dame. First down play inside the 20. Now Grooms on the quick sideline pass. Again, he hits Brown on a quick one, but that'll be a pickup of only about 2 or maybe 3 yards at the most. Pat Malachowski was over there covering at his outside linebacker post. But that might have been another audible by Grooms.
No question the audible to that, and no question now that, you know, his inexperience is showing a little bit. He's looking there. The Air Force outside linebacker, as he audible, started moving out there and almost took that play away from him.
Pick up a 3, 2nd and 7. Ball now at the Air Force 16-yard line. Notre Dame could take the lead with a touchdown and point after Pickett. Nothing doing. A yard maybe. As Air Force now is giving more grudgingly. Larry Nicholas, the nose guard, smelled out that play and came in to make the stop. Short of the 15-yard line.
Okay, well,
so now Notre Dame's going to come up with a big player here on 3rd down, or maybe we'll have to go with a field goal. It's 3rd and 6 at the 15-yard line. Biggest play of the game so far with the Irish. Grooms being chased out of the pocket. Now Grooms is going to run with it, and he gets the first down, I think. He's down inside the 10, and he may be about a yard short. And here will be a decision now for the Notre Dame staff. Grooms chased out of the pocket, almost got it in.
Going to be awful close over there. Looks like he didn't make it. Now he's chased out of the pocket. He has to make a decision. Now he turns and runs. Knows where that marker is. Should lower his head, but missed it by about maybe half a foot, Jim.
So it's 4th down, less than a yard to go for Notre Dame. And Faust is going to go for it. Now here's where those big linemen may come through for the Irish. Mark Brooks is in at fullback. They got two fullbacks, Smith or Brooks in front of Pickett. They need less than a yard. They give it to Pickett, and Pickett dives in there behind his left guard, Tim Scannell, and I think he's got the first down.
Oh, it's going to be close. It is going to be close. Looked like he lost his footing going in there, Jim. I'm not so sure now.
Okay, we may have to measure. Let's see now as they unstack. They put the ball down around the vicinity of the 9-yard line, 8.5 yard. They had to get to 8.5. Ball is just inside the 9. This is going to be an important measurement here for both these teams. Air Force leads 6-0. Notre Dame is down there. Here's the chain down, and it's first down for Notre Dame. First and goal to go at the 8-yard line of the Air Force. Well, Ed, I understand we've got some viewers down in Kingston, Jamaica, watching the telecast of this game. One of your old high school players, Larry Mason, just phoned to say he's watching down in Jamaica. I hope the Jamaican fans stick around and enjoy the other game tonight coming up as LSU entertains Vanderbilt in a key Southeastern Conference game at Baton Rouge. Now first and goal for Notre Dame. 4 plays to get it in. Here comes Grooms. Grooms back getting up the middle, and they're tied in, and he fumbles the ball out of bounds. Mark Bavaro, the tight end, came across in motion and took a little shovel pass.
Well, that's the old Jack Curtis shovel pass, but he used it with the tight end. See him coming out. He shovels it right up to him. Now Bavaro may have been better off if he'd have turned upfield here and made some yardage. He's trying to run like a halfback, and he's a big 235-pound backer who carried the ball in the wrong hand on the inside arm instead of the outside arm.
Well, he was fortunate that he was close to the boundary. The ball just went out of bounds. Brooks comes back in at fullback, and Notre Dame going back to its power backfield. Second and goal now at the Air Force 2-yard line. Pickett hit at the 2 and driven back. Alan Pickett stopped this time of the Air Force defense. John Ziegler's the first guy to greet him. And then he got a lot of assistance from the claws, they call the Falcon defense, especially from A.J. Scott and Pat Malakowski.
And a lot of times, Jim, the blockers, you know, people say the line isn't blocking anybody, but this time Pinkett did not stay with the hole. That play was there. He might have, if he'd have stayed inside, lowered his head, he might have made a yard too. But he didn't open quick. He tried to go to the outside, consequently lost yardage.
Third down at about the 2.5-yard line. Notre Dame trying to get in, and there's Grooms on a play action fake, throws the end zone, incomplete. Trying to hit Bavaro, the tight end, incomplete. It'll be 4th down again, and Notre Dame may be forced to go for the 3.
Well, Bavaro was wide open. To come with the play action, fakes the running play. Bavaro delayed, then went out into the flats. He just overthrew the ball.
There's Grooms. You can see him. He's staring over the sidelines where the word must come from Jerry Faust. What do you do here? And out comes the field goal unit. So John Carney will try to come in and cut the Air Force lead in half. Carney is 6 for 6 this year in field goals. He's had one as long as 44 yards, and this should be a piece of cake right here. Just a little chippy of about 20 yards. Ball's at the 2.5-yard line of the Air Force. Notre Dame may want to talk it over.
Well, I would think so.
Call timeout.
I would think they might want to think about this a little bit. Although they had let the 30-second clock run down, they were going to get penalized 5 yards. They waste, if they kick it, they're wasting a timeout because the extra 5 yards in this field position doesn't mean anything. Now, this is kind of a tough decision for Coach Faust. He's sitting down there with the ball, you know, on the 2-yard line. If he doesn't make it, okay, if you want to think defensively, Air Force got a long way to go. You may get good field position again. Settling for 3 points, put you in a position that the field goal, another one would just tie the ball game. So I'm not quite sure. This is a tough decision. Obviously, the fans always want you to go for it.
Well, they're leaving Carney out there. Fisher DeBerry now is going to think maybe some fake is a distinct possibility here. And here comes Grooms back on the field. So the quarterback, Grooms, comes back in. Notre Dame's going to go for it. So Faust, who's endured a lot of second-guessing here at Notre Dame the last 3 years, has put himself on the line here. They're going to go for the touchdown in the first half with 10.5 minutes to go till halftime, and Air Force leading 6-0. If they fail here, Ed, Air Force going to be backed up inside its own 2-yard line.
I think this is an excellent decision by Jerry Faust. Whether they make it or not, you know, they've got to decide now. Don't say after the play is whether you like the decision or not. I think it's an excellent decision. If they make it, they've got a chance to go ahead in the ball game. If they don't make it, as you said, Air Force is really backed up. This football team needs a lift. Their fans need a lift. They need to have something good happen to them. A field goal is really almost like settling for nothing.
I think Air Force has called a timeout. So Air Force, Fisher DeBerry's called a timeout. He's going to make sure he sets up. This is a very big play here for both these teams. If Faust is Irish, gets the ball in the end zone here and takes the lead, no doubt they're going to pick up the momentum. But there's By the same token, and as clearly, if Air Force can stop them, they will, of course, be able to maintain the momentum of this game.
Well, that's exactly right. And, of course, that's just stuff that's going on. They had their field goal block team on, was forced to take a timeout when Notre Dame sent their offensive team back on field.
There's Faust, and here's Grooms. His first start ever for Notre Dame, although he's a senior. Played the shadow this year of Steve Berline, and he was the shadow of Kiel before that. Came here as a freshman 5 years ago, transferred back to Miami, Ohio, then changed his mind again, returned to Notre Dame.
You got to make a decision, run or pass, Jim.
Well, Pinkett is set out in a slot now, and they've got only one running back, Smith, behind Grooms. Howard is to the right. Here comes Jackson in motion to the right. And here comes Grooms. Going to pass on 4th down. Grooms is hit, gets away, fires the end zone. Touchdown. Caught by Jackson. Oh, what a play by Grooms. Got away from a tackler. Looked like he might be sacked. And he just drilled that ball to Milt Jackson, and Notre Dame takes the lead.
Oh, this was a gutsy call that took it. Now, you see Grooms come out here. He shows the strength of his arm. There's no one open right now. He's looking around. Now, he drills this in between a lot of people. Breaks a tackle. Now, this is drilled right in there. Jackson makes an excellent catch in the end zone. Gutsy call. Excellent play execution. The Irish needed that for their fans and their own football team.
Well, that was super coverage by the Air Force. Carney out now to try and put Notre Dame in the lead. 6-6. And the kick. And it is good. And Notre Dame does indeed take the lead with 1:23 to go in the first half. It's Notre Dame 7, Air Force 6. Well, here's some more action coming next week on ESPN. South Carolina went in this weekend undefeated, coming to Notre Dame to battle the Fighting Irish. And then later, next Saturday night, you also see Oklahoma, one of the most powerful offenses in the country, going to Iowa State. And tonight, 7:30 Eastern Time, LSU entertaining Vanderbilt.
Old friend Joe Morrison brings that South Carolina team in there. At Lima Ohio, University of Cincinnati, played pro ball for a number of years. Got an undefeated football team doing an excellent job.
There's the kickoff now by Notre Dame. Waiting back there is Scott Thomas in his end zone. He's going to run it out. Thomas to the 10. Thomas to the 15, up the middle to the 20, and out to the 23-yard line. So 23-yard return by Thomas, stopped by Pat Cusack of Notre Dame. But the Irish is in the lead, 7-6, thanks to a scoring drive engineered by Grooms of 53 yards in 14 plays. Well, there are a couple of key plays there. 4th down, they picked up a 1st down, and then on 4th down, after having the field goal unit on the field, Jerry Faust brought him back, went for the big one, and it paid off.
Well, Jim, I like what I've seen of Grooms. His passing ability doesn't leave much to be desired.
Wise continues on the counter play, tries to give up the middle to Jody Simmons. Hitting straight ahead. Kowaleski trips him up as he goes over the 25. So the Air Force that had sparkling success early in the ball game with their option play now have been stopped a little bit by this Notre Dame defense since Ed Biles pointed out they made an adjustment.
Well, Jim, if they continue to take the outside away, now the weight advantage Irish have inside, stopping the inside running game will be the key, especially on this field that's beginning to get wet.
Wise gives his fullback again, and a good run by Johnny Smith, a young sophomore fullback from Fayetteville, Georgia, number 37, only 5'9", but he runs with a good low point of gravity, and watch him go.
Now watch you blocking here by Overdick, the center, working on the nose guard. Look at him. He's in what you call he fires into him, stays down, keeps crawling, keeps a crawl block going, forces him back off the line of scrimmage. Now, that's right, they've got to stay low to get underneath those big people. If they stay low, they get underneath the big ones.
That's the 1st down for the Air Force at their own 35-yard line. Here's Bart Weiss, who can really run this option play. Keeps it. Weiss pitches it out. Here comes Przesniak. Turns the corner. Doesn't get a lot, but he picks up about 2 yards on the play before Pat Ballage brought him out. That play was really killing Notre Dame in the first quarter of the game. Air Force ran it with big chunks of yardage, but now Notre Dame's cutting it down a little bit. Pickup there was 2. It'll be 2nd and 8.
Well, since they changed from that man-to-man into the zone that cornerback can cover, now really Air Force is going to have to establish either the inside running game with that fullback or get a little more play-action passes to open them up, because the zone teams will be open if they come with some play-action stuff.
Eric Ferris comes in at the split end for the Air Force. 2nd and 8. Takes the full. Here's a play action. Going back to left side to the tight end, and Brennan has got it over the 45, and a good call, Ed, and that'll be a 1st down.
Well, that's the kind of the the chess match that goes off and on when someone makes an adjustment, the other one has to counteract it. And you can see the coaches up in the press box. If they're alert, they're making those adjustments. Excellent call by the Air Force then.
I think they got interference against Notre Dame on the play also, so they could take the penalty here. They're going to take the one which is ever larger, of course. Remember, they stopped that old penalty of the spot of the foul, and if it's farther upfield, Air Force might take the penalty. The completion gives them the first down at the 47. The flag was thrown right there. Hugh Brennan made a great catch.
Well, the 15-yard penalty would give him a little bit more yardage on the play.
Let's see. They're going to turn it down. They'll take the play, which is a first down.
Well, I'm not so sure that the officials did a good job of explaining that option to the captain of that team. I think that Air Force captain is a little bit smarter than that. First down. I doubt very seriously whether the option was explained that he could take the 15-yarder. I'm sure he said you made the first down, and that's all the young man was worried about, was taking that first down.
Well, it's a first down. The ball is just over the 46. Let's call it the 46-yard line. Bart Weiss done a masterful job here running the triple option out of the wishbone attack for the Air Force. Notre Dame fans are roaring here now. And there's the keeper. Weiss pitches it back outside of Simmons. Simmons turns the corner down to the Notre Dame 40 for a first down. Simmons has shown great burst of speed, just like Poshestiak had. Mike Golick made the stop, but it's a first down for the Falcons as they roar right back after the Notre Dame touchdown. First and 10 on the 38-yard line.
Well, he's really doing a good job of reading his options on that play. As he comes down the line, he can give it to the fullback. He can keep it himself. And that time again, when he wound up with no force there, he made the pitch, and Notre Dame they caught him in that man-for-man coverage, and Wilson had to back off for the receiver.
There's Simmons. He's been joined the backfield now by Mike Brown. Mike Brown returning to action today for the Air Force. He was their big play man, but now with the injury, they give it to Brown on the counter play. Brown to the right side inside the 35, and collared on the 32 by Pat Ballage. So they are hitting behind the Notre Dame flow to cover that option play. So they're going back on counter plays, and it's worked pretty well.
Well, you see him got two backs coming this way, and then Brown going back to that side. Well, that Brown is some back. You know, he set an NC2A record last year. Jimmy averaged 8.5 yards per carry and 83, an NC2A record.
As we mentioned, he had a big afternoon against Notre Dame, 148 yards. Second down and 4 for the Air Force. And the fullback got the first down. Driving is Smith about the 27-yard line.
Well, big Wally Klein was coming down on the inside. I'm sure it was his responsibility to take the fullback away. Fullback just ran by him. He just missed a tackle, and that opened it up.
Stop was by James Bobb, who had to replace Joe Johnson, shaken up a little bit earlier here at strong safety. This first down will be marked at the Notre Dame 26. A field goal, of course, could put the Air Force back in the lead. They're trailing by just 1 point. They missed the point after their first touchdown. Notre Dame came back on the fourth quarter pass to take the lead and added the point. It's 7-6 right now, Irish. But the Air Force rolling. Here's the keep. No, it's to give the fullback, and Smith has got some room. Fumbles the ball, but I think you're going to say he was down around the 16-yard line. Johnny Smith, boy, he got some explosiveness there after he cleared that line.
The key to this play, Jim, watch the splits. Watch the splits on the right side of the line there, how wide they are. They force the defense. Look where the right tackle, how wide he is out there. That forces the defense to widen out with it. Now he took the option of giving the ball to the fullback inside.
Well, they fooled our cameraman, so I'm glad I'm not the only one here today. This guy's a magician, this Bart Weiss. Rick DiBernardo, and to make the stop for Notre Dame. Gain of 9 on the play. 2nd and 1. See what Weiss tries here at the 27-yard line. Going to keep it. Pitch it back outside. Here comes Simmons. Simmons looking to turn the corner inside the 25. And he'll inside the 15, rather, and he'll have a first down. DiBernardo made the defensive play for the Irish, but number 25, Jody Simmons, on a block by Mike Brown, was able to get it outside again for the Air Force. And now it's 1st and 10 at the Notre Dame 13-yard line, and the Irish continuing to have problems here with wishbone attack. It was just straight option earlier. They adjust a little bit on that, but Air Force has come back with some counter plays. And that's what you love to see, a football game, and that's what we got here yet.
Well, they're not getting enough penetration to stop. Look at the splits at the top again now.
They go to the right, and here's the pitch back to Simmons. Got a block in front of him. Simmons cuts inside the 5. Simmons to the 2. Maybe a first and goal. Mike Kovaleski, a weak side linebacker for Notre Dame. Mike Brown again was leading the blocking, and how these halfbacks can block for the other man out of the option.
Well, you see, here you see you coming down the line of scrimmage. There's the first option. Fakes there, look, takes it out. Now he's coming, makes the pitch. No force out there for the Irish. A little bit of poor tackling coming across the field there. He got about 7 yards there at the end by just lowering his head and going forward for it.
That's the first and goal at the 2-yard line of Notre Dame. Actually about 1.5 yards. So they don't have a full 2 yards to go here, just outside the 1-yard line. 2 tight ends, full backfield. Full back, touchdown. Johnny Smith plunges behind his own left guard, Fred Buttrell, and the Air Force has come back to score to regain the lead on Notre Dame.
Well, Jody Simmons, whose rushing average of 7.0 come this game, has carried 10 times for 82 yards. They'll probably go for the 2-point conversion in this situation, Jim, since they missed the first one.
That's the second touchdown score this year by Johnny Smith, who came into this game with only 118 yards. Jerry Faust wants the attention of his defense. He knows they're going to go for 2. Golick now takes the word in. Mike Golick, number 55, defensive captain. They've asked the ball to be moved to the hash mark on the left. So Air Force going to go for 2 here to try and get the 14-7 lead. Mike Brown is in there. He'll be running at left half. The right half is Przesniak. Bart Weiss, the quarterback, and the fullback is Johnny Smith, who scored his second touchdown of the season. A fake to Smith. They pitch it back out to Brown. Brown's going to throw it the end zone, man wide open. A tight end, Brennan's got it, and there's the 2-point conversion. The option pitch and the halfback pass from Brown to Brennan. And it's just that simple for the Air Force to go up by 7. How'd you like that one?
Oh, what a great call. What a great call by the offensive coaches over there.
We'll be right back.
Well, here you see they're coming out with the option pitch out to Brown on a 2-point conversion. Makes it look like they're running. Now Notre Dame comes up to force him. He just lobs it into the end zone. Great call. They really had showed that anytime this ball game gets it in there for the 2-pointer.
There's the kickoff now. It's an outside try. And they do the sky kick down to the 30-yard line. Notre Dame trying to get, rather Air Force trying to get back the ball. Doesn't work. Notre Dame gets it inside the 30 at the 29-yard line. But don't you think on that try for 2 points, if Notre Dame doesn't come out to play the play, that Ward's got, Brown's got a good chance to just take it right on the end?
Oh, that's the option of it. That's it. He had the option to either run the ball or pass the ball, depending on what happens there. Or someone has to stay back with the receiver. Someone else is responsible for coming up and making a play. Good decision by Milt Jackson. Fair catch in that kickoff, so he'd have the chance to catch it then, Jim.
1st and 10 for Notre Dame at their own 28. Scott Grooms, pass for the only Irish touchdown so far, back in at quarterback. Fumble on the snap, and the fullback Smith jumps right on it. May have picked up 1 yard or 2 as the ball banded forward. That's about the 3rd time today that Grooms has had trouble covering the exchange.
That sure is. That's the 3rd one, Jim, and that really hurts your football team. You take 3 opportunities away to make yardage and make first downs. And one of the things that's happened now, Air Force is bringing 3 defensive backs over here whenever they go into a slot. Watch for Notre Dame to come back and go away from that slot.
Most dangerous receiver, Jackson's to the right here. They fake on the play action. Here's Grooms. Grooms now going to have to run. Now he fakes and taken out of bounds. Across the 30, he's going to get a short gain out of the play, but nothing long. Air Force had 3 deep receivers covered. They've had both Jackson and Howard down, along with the tight end, Bavaro. So Notre Dame now faces a 3rd down.
Well, they were trying to do what the coaches normally refer to as a flood pattern. Make the play action, brought Bavaro all the way across the field. The outside receiver was clean out. If it had been in a zone coverage, would have been good. Air Force was in a man coverage, and everybody was going with a man for man.
3rd down and 7 here for Notre Dame, just over their 31-yard line. 2 wide receivers to left. Grooms up, goes over the middle, incomplete. They tried to hit the tight end Bavaro at the 39-yard line. That was the spot they needed to go for the first down. I don't think Bavaro's deep enough. If he caught the ball there, it would not have been a first down. Rotella was covering for the Air Force. But now it's 4th, and Notre Dame will punt. Air Force gets back the football, and Notre Dame can prepare to see that option out of the wishbone. There's Thomas, one of the nation's leading kick returners, and into punt Mike Vericola, averaging over 40 yards a punt. Well, these are 2 great kicking games dueling here today. Good snap. Vericola's been rushed a couple of times. Thomas, no signal, takes it on the 30. Thomas looking for the sideline, being chased. Great coverage by Notre Dame. Taken out of bounds on the 31. So that was tremendous coverage down here by Notre Dame. And so it'll be Air Force ball at their 31. Francisco was the man down under the punt. We'll take a timeout with a score. Air Force 14, Notre Dame 7. The Breeders' Crown Championship Series continues tomorrow, 6:30 on ESPN, with the top Colts going, including on the road again.
Jim, this is a key series for both ball clubs. Defensively, 5 minutes to go in the first half. Notre Dame has to stop Air Force. If they get some more points, they go into halftime with a comfortable lead. On the other hand, Air Force would love to go down right now, put more points on the board, go in at halftime with a very comfortable lead. Now, this could be a key series in this entire ball game.
Air Force right now like to take some time off the clock. 5 minutes to go in the half. Air Force leads 14-7. Bart Weiss continues to run. He gives them the counter play up the middle. Sprinting through there was Pashestiak. And he got a nice treat. No, it's going to be Simmons. Jody Simmons, number 25. Pat Ballard tripped him up. And so Air Force have been using that triple option play a lot. Now going to a lot of counters.
He steps to his right, and then he comes back to his left and hands it in there. Now he's doing a lot of audible at the line of scrimmage. Notre Dame is using 50 defense, or they're making about 3 defensive fronts. He's audible into the front for the play that he wants against that front.
Gain of 9, second and just 1 here for the Air Force at their 41-yard line. Keep up by Weiss. He tries to cut back, and he is covered. And he goes short of the first down. Wally Klein, 6'9", 278, just buried Weiss at the line of scrimmage. And it'll be third down, a yard to go.
Well, you can watch him as he gets up there now. His head looks to the right side, looks to the left side, trying to look what defensive adjustments the Notre Dame front men are doing. Then he calls the play. He might add numbers or subtract numbers, whatever their audible system is, to try to put his offense in the best play against that defensive front.
They got 2 wide receivers in, trying to spread out that Notre Dame defense a little bit. Third down, a yard. Notre Dame looking to go for the first down. Here's the keep out of the pitch back to Simmons. He's got the corner torn, and Simmons has got the first down. He turns into the 45. Mike Golick hitting for Notre Dame, but Simmons scores another first down. Air Force keeps the ball with the clock rolling.
Well, they had to play well defense. Mike Haywood, when he came up, if he had gotten himself under control, they had 2 people out there, but he allowed himself to get cut down and let Simmons get to the outside. We may see Simmons some kind of football night in that game against LSU and Vanderbilt.
Oh boy, they'll be roaring. Those Tiger fans will. What a spot that'll be. And Jim Simpson, Paul McGuire will be there for ESPN tonight, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. First down for the Air Force. Keep on White. Play action. Blitz by Notre Dame. Fires upfield, incomplete. He got rid of the ball, throwing toward Mike Brown, a halfback, but there was a full all-out blitz on for Notre Dame. Penalty flag goes down. They may have roughed the passer. Kovaleski came in and nailed Weiss. When Weiss looked around and saw nothing but navy blue and golden domes, and he unloaded in the general direction of Mike Brown. Now down comes the referee, Vincent Price. We'll see what this is about, but the flag was thrown. Now, they may throw ground. I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to say it was a mistake.
Well, he's going to eat the flag. The referee ran all the way downfield to check with one of the other officials on what was happening down there. So apparently he may have
thought intentional grounding for an instant.
He may have thought that it was he may have called out. He may have thought it was an uncatchable pass. Whatever it is, it's 2nd down and 10.
Carpenter's back in. It's split in for the Air Force. 2nd and 10 at their 45. And Weiss has to keep it this time and duck up the middle. A little bit of a mishap there. Robert Banks for Notre Dame came in to hit Weiss, number 4. Just a short gain, and here will be a key third down for Air Force with over 3 minutes on the clock.
Well, evidently the ball might be getting a little bit slippery and wet out there. The people on the sideline should really keep dry towels and keep drying that foul off. We've had 4 center quarterback chain fumbles in this game so far, and it really isn't raining that hard. It's misting out there, but not a hard rain.
You know, they thought last year when Air Force lost its quarterback, they'd be in trouble, but Bart Weiss and Brian Knorr both have done a great job for the Falcons. Weiss now has broken the bone. He has set one of his halfbacks, Brown, off in the slot, and Air Force is going to call timeout. What happened there, Ed?
Well, I think they were a little slow getting the play in from the sideline. They took a little extra time in the huddle. When they came up to the line of scrimmage, didn't have enough time to beat the 25-second count.
We'll be right back. Air Force leads 14-7. There's the time remaining in the first half. 2 minutes and 39 seconds. Air Force ball. The Falcons are leading Notre Dame 14-7, and they have the ball with a big 3rd and 9 here at their own 46. In motion. It's setting up a reverse play. And here comes Ferris with some running room. He's got a lot of room over the 50. He's got the first down over the 40. 35 to the 32. And the Air Force surprises Notre Dame with a trick play, a wide receiver reverse, and it clicks down to the 32-yard line.
Well, here you see it. Now, the man responsible for the reverse coming back here was the defensive end. He got himself caught too far inside. Once he gets outside, now the people downfield are in man-for-man coverage. They're going off with him.
Hey, that was an option pass play. This guy's a former quarterback, Ferris, and he was set to throw if they came up to pressure.
And a double-covered receiver downfield, but the one defensive back should come off. And here it is from another angle. He's looking, kind of not really thinking too much about making the pass.
They had too much room. First down with the Air Force, and keep by Weiss. Weiss pitches it back, and now here's Simmons trying to get outside, and a great defensive play by Notre Dame. Spells him up. That was Troy Wilson, a left corner linebacker, and Notre Dame stops the option play for one of the rare times here this afternoon.
Well, they stopped him that play, Jim, but the prior play that made that big first down on that 3rd down situation is now going to enable Air Force to almost run this clock out, or at least get an attempt at a field goal before the half. Notre Dame has only one timeout left. They really won't have the ability to stop the clock.
1:39 to go. Field goal range for Mateos, 54 yards he's made one. Up the middle, penalty flag thrown. Fullback Pat Evans, a little bit of a counter there out of the fullback spot. Kovaleski tripped him up. The flag goes down. Ed, one of the pleasant things about this game is we've had very few penalties.
Yeah, this was a key one from Air Force's standpoint, though. They were a little bit of motion, went on a quick count. Somebody wasn't quite set. They're going to take the 5-yard penalty, of course, and make it 2nd down, but more importantly, kind of take them out of that field goal range unless they make another big play or two.
Well, they had carried down inside the 30 and definitely would have been in range for Mateos, but now it's back to the 39, and it becomes 2nd down and very long yardage. 2nd and 17.
Comes down to that. Mateos has got a good leg. He's only missed a 147-yarder this year. He's already made a 54-yard kick this year, so he's got that long range.
That was against Utah. There you see, a little under a minute and a half to go. Carpenter is the wide receiver. That's a familiar name. You fans back in the 40s remember the lonely end, Bill Carpenter, who's now Brigadier General and in the College Football Hall of Fame. Well, this is his son playing wide receiver today for the Air Force. 2nd and long for the Air Force. Keep our Weiss to go to the short side. They pitch it out to Brown. Not much running room over there. Kovaleski. Need more room than that to run that pitch option play. They went into the boundary.
Well, they've been running to the wide side. This time they thought maybe Notre Dame would be overshift. They came back into silent, but it also stopped the clock, which they really didn't particularly want to do at this stage. Get back those penalties. The Air Force had 2 and Notre Dame's had 1, so there hasn't been many penalties.
Only 3 for the half. We just had one. There's Mike Brown, who's been the leading receiver for the Falcons. Also one of the leading rushers, but he's been out for 2 games with an injury. Simmons, Evans, and Brown are the running backs. And Weiss, the quarterback, as Air Force faces a big 3rd down play. They need to pick up here at least 4 or 5 yards to give Mateos a good shot at the field goal. And they give him the fullback, and he's got some room. That is Pat Evans on a slant inside the 30-yard line. Doesn't get the first down, but he's going to give Mateos a better shot at the field goal. Stopped by Mike Kovaleski. Here it is.
You see him coming down, handing the ball up, then fullback just slips it in there. Notre Dame thinking he's probably going to go outside. Doesn't mind too much about giving up 5 or 6 yards in that situation now. Now, this is a tough decision being made on that sideline right now. They're going to let the clock run all the way down. Notre Dame not using their last timeout. They're going to let it run all the way down. It'll probably be about 28 seconds or so to go before they take that timeout, which means that Notre Dame won't have any chance at all.
29 seconds to go. Air Force waited till 2 seconds was on the snap clock. And so the field goal count will be about 45 yards. We'll be back for that try by Mateos in just a moment. That's Carlos Mateos. He's coming down his moment of truth here in the final second of the first half. Any chance of a fake or surprise here, Ed?
Well, he's doing an awful lot of fooling around out there with that leg, and usually that might be an indication. It'd be a good place for it. It's going to have to be a 45-yard kick. Might be an excellent place to make that call if they have it in there before.
All right, it'll be a 45-yard attempt from the near hash mark. Air Force trying to add to its lead of 7 points. Now he kicks it away. I think it's going to be short. No good. Oh, he just barely missed. Did Mateos. So Notre Dame has time for 2 or 3 plays here. They'll take over the line of scrimmage, which was around the 30 or 28-yard line. So that was a nice attempt by Mateos. Practically no wind here. Was coming across his right. Coming up at halftime from Fort Center, Bruce Beck will have all the scores, highlights of other games today around the country. And then tonight at 7:30 here on ESPN, it's LSU and Vanderbilt in a showdown in the Southeastern Conference. Now Grooms has the Notre Dame offense back. Grooms going to go for it. Grooms plenty of time. Drills it over the middle. Knocked down, intended for Howard. Good coverage on there by Mike Chandler, an inside linebacker. And they're going to Joe Howard. Stops the clock with 19 seconds to go, so that play took only 5 seconds.
Well, he's got a good, strong arm. I'd like to see him go back in this situation and just throw one as long as he can. Let one of those speed guys go down there and see whether he can get underneath. You see Berline giving the signals there now. He gives the formation, he gives the play, he gives everything except the starting count.
Air Force continues with a 4-man rush. Now they're showing a 5-man front. And there's a blitz away, and they get it off to fullback Smith. Smith on the left side gets the ball with the 35-yard line. That may run out the first half. We're down inside 9 seconds, and time is called right there by Notre Dame. So they want one more shot at it. The 35-yard line. That's the time remaining. Air Force leads 14-7. Air Force scored first, led 6-0. Notre Dame got the lead briefly on a nice march early in the second quarter and went ahead 7-6. The Air Force promptly came right back, a counter march of their own, went down to score to lead 14-7 and just missed a 45-yard field goal attempt minutes ago to keep the score at 14-10. You're looking at Scott Grooms. What a day he's had here. Broke his collarbone back in back last season, so didn't play any then. He's thrown only 3 passes this year, completed 2 of them coming into this game. Nebraska leading Missouri out in the Big 8 in the second quarter, 16-7. You'll have all the other scores at halftime from Bruce Beck. Big games going on. South Carolina playing Pittsburgh, and you'll see the Gamecocks here against Notre Dame next week. 2 wide receivers for Notre Dame. Fumble again by Grooms. Picked up by Pickett. Here comes Pickett trying to make something out of it outside the right, and he is thrown down. His time will run out here in the first half. Down, and there's the final second. And so the first half is over. And how'd you like this one, Ed Biles?
Well, I liked what the things that Air Force did. Get a little disappointed in Notre Dame's offense. They got to move the ball better than what they have been doing.
All right, we'll be coming back shortly for the second half. And now Bruce Beck standing by with all the scores. The halftime score, Air Force 14, Notre Dame 7.
Welcome back to our studios. I'm Bruce Beck. We'll be going back to the Notre Dame Air Force game a little bit later on. Right now, we'd like to get you caught up on college.
Well, the rushing yardage, Air Force 216-yard rushing and 1.5 in football against Notre Dame 60. That pretty well times everything up right there because you're looking at, the total yards almost doubled. No turnovers, but Notre Dame did have 5 fumbles. They were fortunate enough. Time of possession, Air Force had the ball for about 5 more minutes than Notre Dame. The first half has really been all Air Force, Jim.
Well, that it has. Here comes Jerry Faust out. He's been under fire, at least as far as the fans are concerned. I don't think from any of the Notre Dame administration. They've been solidly behind Jerry. Very popular here among everyone who knows him. Came here after a tremendous reign as a high school coach at Cincinnati Moeller High School. And, of course, realizing that the pressure goes with the territory here at Notre Dame. Back through all those great years of the Four Horsemen and the Rockney and the Gipper and right on up through Lou Jack and Leon Hart and all those national championships. They've won 6 of them, or 7. They've had 6 Heisman Trophy winners. So they expect a lot here at Notre Dame, a lot more than they have other places.
Well, Jim, all of that in the past is great, but right now, this football team has to help itself. The Rockney, the Gipper, the Parsegian, none of them are playing today. None of them are lining up. This football team has to snap out of this themselves. The early part of this third quarter, I think, is really important. Air Force using their splits, utilizing their quickness, taking advantage of it. Notre Dame now is going to receive the second half kickoff. Third quarter could be very, very key to this season of this Notre Dame football team and this coaching staff.
All right, you saw number 20. There's some other scores. Nebraska continues to lead Missouri. South Carolina's gone ahead of Pittsburgh again. South Carolina will be here to play Notre Dame on ESPN next week. Ole Miss against Georgia in the SEC, and that reminds me tonight, LSU Vanderbilt live on ESPN at 7:30 from Tiger Stadium. And boy, will they be wound up down there for that one.
Well, my old friend Bill Arnsparger came out of pro coaching, took that job down there. Everybody was thinking, well, is he too old to be a college coach? What an excellent job he's doing with that team down there.
Well, you can say the same thing about Vanderbilt. They're having a great season at Vanderbilt, and that's two teams that have come out of the woodwork here of 1984. Now here's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish coming out on the field. Their offensive coordinator, Ron Hudson, had the last huddle with them. They were held to just 60 yards. Last week, 119 yards rushing, which is the lowest of any Notre Dame team since they've been keeping statistics. And that goes back 40 years, so you can see what they're facing here, only 60 yards in the first half.
And that's about the yardage they're on. 60 times 60 is 120, and they've been averaging 119, so that's a big concern for the Notre Dame coaching staff.
Kicking off for the Air Force will be Carlos Mateos, a senior from Colorado Springs, a soccer star kicker. They're the deep men. 81 at the top on the right screen is Tim Brown, and Hiawatha Francisco at the lower left-hand corner of the screen, number 33. Francisco is a sophomore from Cincinnati, and his full name is Hiawatha Nahomia Nokomis Francisco.
And he also has a brother who is a great high school player this year at Muller High School in Cincinnati, Ohio, who I'm sure all the scouts will be after.
DeJuan Francisco, I am sure. Here we go. Second half underway. Not too deep, and it's be taken by one of the upbacks, the fullback Chris Smith. Smith up over the 25 to the 30, and Notre Dame will start at its own 30-yard line. They get it out there in pretty good shape as the Fighting Irish comes back on the field, and let's see if it's going to be Grooms. Scott Grooms, there he goes, number 10, a senior from Greenfield, Ohio. Got his first start here today because Steve Berline, the regular quarterback for Notre Dame, is injured. And we might just add that Notre Dame is facing a slew of injuries. They've got at least a dozen players, some of them starters, who are out of this game because of injuries. And they're trailing in the game 14-7. Second half now gets underway. First and 10 at the 30-yard line for Notre Dame. They give it to Pickett. Pickett tries the right side, just runs into a solid wall of white. The surge of the Notre Dame line gets him a couple of yards, but Mike Chandler plugged up the hole for the Air Force, and it'll be second down and 7 at the 33.
Well, to make that inside running game go, Jim, that offensive line has to fire off the ball. They've got to come out. They've got to get in those people and keep their leg drive going. Right now, they're just not getting that extra effort out of that offensive lineman.
Pickett's the tailback. The fullback is Chris Smith. Wide receiver, Milt Jackson, who caught the Notre Dame pass. Howard's also in a play-action fake. Here's Grooms. Grooms sacked. Back in on the 25-yard line. That time, the Air Force got to him for the first time in the game. Chris Funk, who blocked 2 Notre Dame kicks last year, one that saved the ball game of the Air Force, led that charge, and Larry Nichols was right behind. There's Funk, number 96, and here's the play.
Well, there's the exchange. He's coming back okay with the exchange this time. Makes the little play action. Now he's looking around downfield. Nobody's open. Nobody's looking. Now all of a sudden, you got Ziegler coming from the backside. Ziegler gets in there and makes that sack.
And DeRuiter was also in there as the defensive end for the Air Force. They spotted on the 26. Well, the loss now brings up third down and 14. Third and 14 at the 26-yard line. Both Howard and Jackson are split wide. And they run the draw play. They give it to Pickett. Looking for room. He's tripped up. Goes down the 30-yard line. And so it'll be 4th down and 10 for Notre Dame. Notre Dame knew Air Force would be looking for the long pass. They tried to fool him with the draw play.
Well, third down and long. They come back. They set it up. Now, he turns his head right away, and you know it's a draw play. The linebackers look at that quarterback. If he keeps looking downfield, it'll help a little bit, but gives it back to Pinkett. And, of course, he didn't come anywhere near making the first down.
That was Larry Nichols, 62. Tripped him up. Kind of a shoestring tackle. There's Pinkett. Pinkett, they had high hopes he wouldn't become Notre Dame's 7th Heisman Trophy winner this year, but he has fallen off his great pace of a year ago. Barracola and the punt for Notre Dame. Gets it off. They run into him, but no call. Back here's Thomas at the 30-yard line. Trying to get behind the wall. They got the wall on the right side. Penalty flags go down. Thomas has got clear sailing, but flags are down. And he's driven out of bounds finally at the Notre Dame 32, but I think it's all going to be called back. Barracola, the punter, got him, but there are a slew of goal flags back down here where he started his run back.
Well, it was a close call. Barracola thought that he was run into him, might have got a penalty that way, but after he received it, Air Force did a great job of setting the wall off, but there was a clip down here. It's going to be brought back and start them deep in their own territory.
That's the first time that Scott Thomas has come close to breaking one here, but he had the wall on the right side.
Jerry Faust upset on the sideline about the official not calling the roughing the punter call.
Well, it was an incidental bump down there. Usually if you run into a kicker, they're going to call it, but they didn't that time. Air Force gets the ball, but instead of having the long run back, that would have put them down deep in Notre Dame territory. They're sucked back in their own 14.
Well, that's one of the things we thought would be a key part of the ball game was the special teams. So far, it's been kind of even. That would have been a big break for the Air Force Academy. They're doing an excellent job of setting that wall up now. They really sprint back, get on the hash marks, and start moving in for their blocks.
Air Force was just outstanding in the first half with their triple option out of the wishbone. There's the guy who makes it work, Bart Weiss, number 4, junior quarterback from Naples, Florida. They go with the option again. Weiss keeps it. Weiss is over the 20. Big play up over the 25 to the 27. First down for the Air Force. Francisco in the Notre Dame secondary was able to stop Weiss. He faked the pitch, which hurt Notre Dame in the first half, and he made hay with that.
Well, they start right back off the second half. Again, this is their offense. Make it in there, keep it, read what's happening. Nobody there. Everybody playing the pitch man. He turns it up, keeps the ball himself right now. Weiss, of course, is averaging almost 4.5 yards per carry when he rushes the ball throughout the season.
Well, he's gained over 240 yards running coming into this game with 5 touchdowns. Another first down play for the Air Force. Run the option again. Weiss going to pitch it out. No room to run over there. And they take the pitch man, Jody Simmons, right out of bounds. High weather, Francisco. You need to run that play more to the open field to have room. You run it into the boundary, and you just run out of real estate.
Well, they run it into the boundary once in a while to keep that defense honest, Jim. They want them to realize that you can't completely always play the wide side of the field. You can't slant because we have something that'll come back to that side of the field. The key thing, again, take a look at the splits that the Air Force has taken in their offensive line. The little quick guys are splitting the big guys out of the ball game.
Air Force giving up 40 and 50 pounds to the man to Notre Dame in this game, but they lead the game 14-7. Here comes Weiss going to throw. Weiss throwing the long one downfield. It's going to be thrown short. He wanted to come down here to Ken Carpenter, the split end. McCabe was in there putting on pressure. Carpenter being covered by Troy Wilson, a cornerback for Notre Dame, but it had slipped out of his hands, it appeared, thrown short. And so it's 3rd down and 10.
Well, you can't help but think when you see Carpenter out there, his dad being the lonely end. I imagine old Colonel Red Blake is out there in Colorado Springs watching this game, and I'm sure when you talk about that lonely end, he started that years ago in football. Now everybody's using split ends and everything to isolate people.
Big play facing Air Force right here. They're number 2 in the nation in rushing. They had a good first half, over 200 yards on Notre Dame. Now they put the bone. They got the flex bone set. Here comes Weiss to throw. Weiss throws, got a man wide open, and it's Ferris. He's out of bounds on the 46 for a first down. Eric Ferris, a converted quarterback who made the big reverse earlier in the game, gets open here for a key 3rd and 10.
Well, they did the same thing as doing with the offensive line, splitting people. They took Ferris, put him out awfully wide, isolated the corner one-on-one with him, couldn't get any help. Now he breaks, comes back, gets his feet down, goes out of bounds.
First down for the Air Force. They came out in their flex bone set that time, where they set the halfbacks instead of the wishbone. They set them off in the slots as sort of wingbacks or slot backs.
Look again, Jim, just splits up the top side of the film there. Look at the screen.
Those linemen are 4 yards apart. Looks like the old split T. They come to the short side, and a keep by Weiss. Great balance. Down to the 40 of Notre Dame. Out of bounds. He gets inside the 35-yard line. What balance by Bert Weiss. Almost off his feet at the 50-yard line. Refused to go down.
Well, again, we talked about him coming back to the short side. That's what they did. Notre Dame went wide side. They run this back into the short side. They took the fullback away. Now he turns up. No one there. Just room for him to run down, and he can run. There's Weiss right back here. Now this is close out of bounds here. Well, he didn't hit him. He went down and hit the sideline. Everybody was screaming for maybe a possible penalty. But again, the little guys are taking advantage of what they can do, split people. Notre Dame has got to get penetration. They've got to start bringing some linebackers and getting through those gaps.
All right, the key to that play was Weiss being able to do a little balance out. They go up to the short side again. Here's the pitch, and it's out of bounds, intended for Koshesniak. And he goes out of bounds for a little bit of a loss. 12 minutes to go. And what's the Notre Dame defense doing that's forcing Air Force to come into the boundary, the short side?
Well, the whole first half, they went to the wide side of the field. I'm sure they went in and looked at statistics at halftime, said they're doing most of the thing for the wide side of the field. We now need to bring our people wide side. They counteracted that by thinking about coming to the short side. Now, the whole key for Notre Dame right now, Jim, As long as they sit there on the line of scrimmage, don't get any penetration, you're going to have great success with this tack. They have got to take those inside linebackers and start bringing them through the gaps. They're allowing that offensive tackle for Air Force to split sometimes 3 and 4 yards away from the guard. That's just too much yardage for those defensive ends and nose guard to cover.
Well, it's pouring rain now here in Notre Dame, Indiana. Rained fairly hard very early this morning. Then the rain stopped half hour or so before the game. They took the tarpaulins off. The field was in perfect condition. Rained just lightly in the first half, but now it's raining pretty hard. Air Force facing 2nd down and 12 at the Notre Dame 33. Now they go wide side of the field. Weiss wants to throw it. He's going to Carpenter, his wide receiver, and is broken up by Wilson. Troy Wilson broken up inside the 15-yard line.
Oh, I think the official called a late flag down there, Jim. I believe that official comes out called a late flag.
Well, let's see. That's going to be interference maybe by Wilson. He's really upset, number 12.
Well, I'd have to see that. Look, I thought he made an excellent play on the ball. He had his position, played well. It's going to be an interesting call by the official.
Well, that man's interested right there. I can tell you that. Jerry Faust.
Well, he may have called, from the look reaction, he may have called offensive.
Ineligible receiver. Lost it down.
No. He called. He went out of bounds over there, I guess, before he touched the ball, I'm assuming.
So, illegal play for Air Force went out of bounds.
now
DeBerry is unhappy. He wants to argue a little bit.
Yeah, well, see what he's saying. What DeBerry's saying to there now is that receiver was knocked out of bounds as he went downfield. The minute he goes out of bounds, he's ineligible to come back and get his hands on the ball.
Now, let's see if we can see here.
Well, we probably won't see it from this shot because all we'll see is a quarterback. It all happened probably before that. Now see, you can't tell because we saw the quarterback's action.
Can't see anything wrong with that play.
Well, the official was on the side there, and I was finding it hard to believe there could have been defensive interference because I thought Wilson made a fine play on the ball.
You want to know my opinion? It's going to wind up just what it looked like, an incomplete pass.
It's going to be 3rd down. The one thing about it, they never change those decisions.
3rd down and 12. Shestiak and Simmons are the halfbacks here for the Air Force. Weiss, quarterback. They got Eric Ferris back in there. He's made a couple of big plays for the Air Force today. A converted quarterback, a left-hander, quite a baseball star at the Air Force. He's in. He's wide to the top of the screen out to the right. A big reverse, and he made a big catch.
The same situation. We isolated him on the cornerback before.
Oh, now down goes Weiss. That's going to be a costly loss. Conceivably, Air Force was in field goal range for Mateos. But right then, when Weiss's knee touched on the 37, I think he took him out of range.
Jim, I'm not so sure that he was trying to run a quarterback draw on that play. Looked like he was going to go back because the lineman's set, and then they started off downfield. He set, and when he tried to go forward, his feet just came out from underneath him.
Lost his footing. Now out comes the punting unit. Out on the field, here comes Mark Simon to punt the ball. There'll be no field goal attempt. Any possibility of a field goal is taken away by that loss suffered there when Weiss lost his footing. Air Force will try to put Notre Dame deep. Notre Dame sends Wilson back to the 10-yard line. And let's see what Simon, who's been averaging 43.5, can do. The ball's at the 37, and they got delay of game. Well, this isn't going to hurt. Isn't going to hurt Simon that much.
Yeah, it means absolutely nothing with his punting ability, and when you're on their side, the other team's side of the field, that you don't care about that.
Might even help him a little bit, Ed, because his range is around 43.5 yards, and the ball is at the Notre Dame 43, so he can really hit this one and get it high. Hang time, and back there waiting for Notre Dame is Troy Wilson, sophomore from Frederick, Maryland.
Pick somebody out! Pick somebody out!
Penalty flag goes down. There's the kick. Angle away from Wilson. It's going to hit out of bounds, going for the coffin corner. It'll be inside the 15-yard line, but will it go? Penalty flag was dropped at the snap, and they may call this one back. Notre Dame's given the option. They probably want him to kick it again.
Well, an interesting decision to make.
That's against the Air Force. For legal procedure.
Well, the other option is, so if you take the penalty, you're going to give him the opportunity to put the ball closer inside. If they'd had the ball on the 15, a good punt by him would put you backed up even farther.
There's John McCabe. He's looking to the Notre Dame bench. He wants some kind of... His dad was quite an athlete, played basketball at DePaul a few years ago. He replaces Tony Virginik, who's a great linebacker for Notre Dame. That's just one of the few players out of this game for the Irish. They're injured this. They'll refuse the penalty and take the football. figuring maybe next time Simon might kick it out of bounds around the 5 or so. So we come back. It'll be Notre Dame's ball again here in the third quarter. First and 10. They trail 14-7.
You searched and searched for the ideal work shoe, the fit of Welt Construction. Rugged, oil-tanned leathers, a shock-absorbing, long-wearing, space-age sole. Now, the search is over. Introducing Super Sole Red Wings, the result of an exclusive Red Wing process combining traditional Red Wing comfort and space-age performance. Super Sole Red Wings, exclusively at your Red Wing dealer.
Some things look hard, but once you know the secret, they're easy.
It's easy.
Some people think financing a new car is hard, but it isn't. It's easy.
It's as easy as GMAC.
With GMAC, buying or leasing a new GM car or truck is easy. Ask your GM dealer and see how easy it is. Financing a new car may seem hard, but once you know the secret,
it's as easy as GMAC.
It's easy.
Tonight, LSU's Bayou Bengals figure to feast on Vanderbilt, but the Commodores are hungry too. It's exclusive, live Saturday night football tonight on ESPN.
Well, when I think about LSU and the Tiger Stadium, I think of Paul Dietzel, one of your old Miami, Ohio buddies who was down there.
Yeah, the large part's from Miami, Ohio also. Great little coaches, Jim.
They'll have a great time tonight. LSU and Vanderbilt here on ESPN. Notre Dame's ball, first and 10 at their own 15-yard line. They pitch it to Pick. Pick at the left side, runs right smack into Terry Mackey, and the big sophomore linebacker takes him down. Tim Scannell tried to spring him with a block. Tim DeRuiter was in there hitting first, but Mackey is the guy who really wrapped him up first.
Well, he's a fine linebacker. Gets in there and just straightened him right up. Just a picture form tackle he made on that play.
Good look there at Pickett. He's only 5'9", 183. From Sterling, Virginia. He's number 6 in scoring this year, 188 points. Or rather, number 6 scoring for Notre Dame, 188 points. So he's climbing up the ladder there, although he hasn't scored today. He needs 100 yards coming in today to catch the Gipper. And he's going to have to go to get that. Second down play. Quick one off the flat, and it's trapped over there by Mel Jackson. An incomplete pass. Ball hit the turf. Incomplete.
Looked like a good infielder picking that one up. He scooped it up in one bounce, tried to fool the officials. He could go with it. Broom's audible to that play. Saw the one-on-one coverage, but it just didn't get out into his hands.
Going for the double play. Scooped that right out of the turf, but the officials on top of the play and saw it. Dwan Wilson was covering over there for the Air Force. He was the man that was assigned to him. Joe Howard comes in. He goes out wide to the right. Jackson goes up to the left. Groom's going to have to do something big here. It's 3rd down and 7 from the 18-yard line. A dangerous spot of the field here. Here comes Grooms looking. And Grooms is going to go back the other way, and he's taken down at the 11-yard line. Great pressure from Ziegler. John Ziegler coming from the blind side at right tackle. And when Grooms looked around and saw him, brother, it was too late.
Well, he really was looking for, he wanted Bavaro coming across the field. He's coming to this side, but they're bringing Bavaro all the way across. Rotello seemed looking for Bavaro. Rotello did an excellent job of covering him. Then he's got no place to go.
Now he's taken down by Ziegler, a junior out of Excelsior, Minnesota. One of the surprises this year for the Air Force team. And now, Vericola has to punt it out of his own end zone. Air Force looking for good field position. Beautiful kick by Vericola. Backing up is Thomas. Has it at his own 40-yard line. Here comes Thomas. Thomas back to the 50 and lunges into Notre Dame territory by a yard. That'll be a run back of about 11 or 12 yards. But the Air Force has got it in great shape. At the Notre Dame 49-yard line, 1st and 10. And the Falcons lead it 14-7. Well, South Carolina comes in here next week to take on the Fighting Irish. The Gamecocks have had a great renewal down there of spirit under Joe Morrison. And what a start, winning their first 4 games. Last report leading Pittsburgh here in game number 5. They'll be right here next week. South Carolina and Notre Dame on ESPN.
The records on TV are really interesting, Jim. Should the Air Force win this game today, they will have won 7 games in a row on national TV. Notre Dame, on the other hand, has only won 2 and lost 8 games on national TV their last 10 outings. Of course, and the Air Force is edging up into great field position here. They take this one and put it in. And the opportunity to beat Notre Dame 3 times in a row would be something for that Air Force academy.
Well, it certainly would. Who would have believed it? A lot of Notre Dame fans wouldn't have believed it for one thing. Here's Weiss now. He's got Mike Brown back in there. And they come to the short side of the field. Weiss pitches it back, and the pitch is to Simmons. Doesn't get much on that one. Taken out of bounds about the line of scrimmage. At most a yard, and maybe not that much.
Well, now Notre Dame has made that adjustment. They've taken the short side of the field away from him. Look for Weiss to come back now and start working that wide side again. He really has been doing an excellent job of holding the line of scrimmage and audibleizing to what the Notre Dame fronts are giving him.
Defenses, when they try to stop something, when they try to take something away, they've got to give you something somewhere else.
But you have to have that ability to audible the line of scrimmage. Takes intelligence by the offensive people and good execution and a smart quarterback.
Kevin Fleming now is the wide receiver for the Air Force. Second down and 9. They run the counter play back to the left side of the fullback Evans, and he fights his way down to the Notre Dame 40, almost a first down. Mike Brown it was. I'm sorry, Mike Brown. Kovaleski made the stop. Now there's Brown, number 3. They've been missing his running, the Air Force has, although they won 2 straight games. This guy, they need him in there. He's an All-American candidate. Set the national record, as Ed said last year, averaged over 8.5 points yards a carry. And it's hurt the Air Force attack. Hurts anybody when you don't have your best running back in there. Third down, a yard. Big play for the Air Force. They come right back to Brown for the first down. Oh, Brown hits back on a straight opener to the left side. John McCabe was there for Notre Dame, but not soon enough. It'll be a first down at the Notre Dame 36-yard line. So Pickett, the Heisman Trophy candidate, came into this game as one of the All-American players. Well, now look how he compares in this game to Jody Simmons, who's almost at 100 yards. Pickett hasn't gained over 69 yards in any game this year.
Well, same number of carries approximately.
First down play for the Air Force. Now they run the opposite again. Weiss pitches it back to Brown. Brown cuts back inside the 35 to the 31. What about Francisco on the stop for Notre Dame? And there's Brown getting that pitch out and a block from Jody Simmons.
You know, and the nice thing about this Air Force, all these Air Force backs, Evans, Smith, Jody Simmons, that whole group, Brown, when they're not carrying the ball, they're doing an excellent job of lead blocking, kicking out if the corner comes to us. Okay, here's what we're talking about. Watch this now. He comes up to the outside, and he's going to kick him. He'll kick him outside, and Brown will cut up and watch him get in his block. Right in Ballage into him, gets his way out of the way, cuts him to the outside. Now, other times they've been cutting back inside, and he's been knocking them down.
Well, that was a picture-perfect block. Gain of 5 on the play. Second down and 5. Handoff on the inside, the fullback Evans, and he pulls his way for a first down over the 25-yard line down to the Notre Dame 22. Mark Melcher opened that hole from guard, and let's see, a Notre Dame player is not Francisco. Boy, the Irish can ill afford to lose many more players. They're really butchered up on this defensive team, especially for Janik, who's the leading tackler, is out of the game. Also out is Mike Larkin, who's been a first-string linebacker. Kovaleski is playing hurt today.
Well, Steve Lawrence, who's our normal starting free safety, is out of this ball game. Francisco went in his place. Now they're going to have to take him out, make some adjustments with either Mike Haywood or James Bobb. They're going to have to do some adjusting to move people, and that's hard to do against this attack that they've been having trouble stopping the running game anyway.
I think it's McGuffey. I think David McGuffey, a junior, very speedy young guy from Carlisle, Kentucky, has come in. So McGuffey's in there. Let's see if Air Force been keeping the ball on the ground, though. They haven't tried to pick on anybody in the secondary. Here's a first down play. And the pitch is back to Simmons. Simmons needs a block, and he's not going to get it. Taken out of bounds for a loss, maybe, at the 23 by Mike Kovaleski. So playing hurt or not, Kovaleski makes that play for Notre Dame. And I think it's be a loss of a yard to make it second down and 11.
Kovaleski slipped down, looked like he hurt himself, kind of took himself out. Now, you see, they've taken the play of the quarterback away. As he comes down, watch him, they'll fake the fullback. Now, someone is responsible for him. They'll come in and really hammer him here with a good shot. Look at this. Boom. He gets hit pretty good going down there. They landed fairly soft. Made the pitch. They kept it contained from the outside.
They got Carpenter split out here on the left to the wide side of the field. Second down and 10. Al fumble, and Notre Dame will get it. That's the first turnover of the game at the 23-yard line. They tried to run the counter play back to the weak side, and the ball got away on the exchange. And it's recovered by Notre Dame's Mike Gann, number 78.
Well, you see him taking the exchange. There's a fake. Now, he has to the ball slides out of his hand just a little bit wet. He was trying to reach a little bit too far. Brown didn't run in there quite tight enough for to get the ball from the quarterback. This may be the break that the Notre Dame team needs. They need something. They have to make something happen soon, Jim.
Well, Fisher DeBerry thinks he's seeing ghosts of games past because Gann forced a big fumble last year against the Air Force. And he gets this one. Let's see if Notre Dame can do something with a turnover. They start at the 23. Here's Pickett. Pickett now Fleeficker. Back to Grooms again. Grooms is going deep, and he's down here to Jackson, incomplete.
Oh, they're going to come out
protesting.
Oh, yeah.
It was interfered with. It looked like everybody was going for the ball to me. What do you think?
Well, I tell you, it was awful close. Notre Dame people are upset. They're frustrated right now. The Notre Dame players are frustrated. Coach Fowles burn line down the sideline.
Well, you take a look. See, what do you think?
Now, when the ball is in the air, all the players have the right to go to it. Here it is. Ball is in the air. Ball's coming down in there. Everybody's got a right for the football. I think you got to let the play go. I don't think there was any interference involved in that play. I think it's a good call by the official.
I don't care which side you are. You look at that play, and whoever you are, you think you got a good case. 2nd and 10 for Notre Dame. They've won that flea flicker twice. Here's Pickett trying to cut slips now. Slippery turf again costing Notre Dame, but as the old saw is, it's wet on both ends of the field. So Air Force has played with that also. Tim DeRuyter on the stop for the Air Force. The senior defensive end who weighs only 209 pounds, and I think that points out just how much Air Force has given up in size in this game, but it hasn't cost them on the scoreboard. They're still leading 14-7.
The size difference almost tilts the field a little bit, but Mark Bavaro has not been a factor in the game. He's a key receiver for Notre Dame.
3rd down and 9, play action. Grooms goes down the middle, off ball, almost intercepted. Trying to go to Howard, and boy, a great move was made on that ball by Tom Rotello, a right corner linebacker. And so Notre Dame was not able to cash in on the turnover. They get only 2 yards out of it. It's 4th down and 8 at the 24-yard line.
Well, you have to take advantage of those turnovers when you get that chance to get that opportunity. When you're behind in the game, you can't continue to give the ball to your opponents. Eventually, the way Air Force has been moving it, they'll put more points up on the board.
Mike Vericola back in the punt for Notre Dame. He's done a yeoman job today. Gets off another great punt. Boy, hangs this one up. Here's Thomas waiting at the 30. Thomas has got it. Trying to cut back, and he is slammed down and fumbles. Notre Dame's got it at the 36.
Well, I don't know how many breaks you can get in the course of a game, but this is another big one that the Irish needed right now. He was hit. Ball popped out. They alertly got it. Now they got the ball in great field position now on the 35-yard line.
I think it's Figueroa. Look for Cedric Figueroa.
Looked it in. He caught the ball good. Now he starts running. Going to get hit here as they come into it. He's going to get hit, starts sliding. But the pop right there. Now someone else is going to come in. He's going to lose it going down. That ball pops out as he's going. That's a close call to maybe being called down.
A big break for Notre Dame. Trailing by 7. They get the ball at the Air Force 36-yard line. 2 straight turnovers by the Falcons. There goes Notre Dame jumping. Number 53, Tom Durger. A quick, the weak side tackle made a little bit of a jump.
Well, that's just frustration. I got a little over carried away myself here thinking this football team needs something. And, they line up the line of scrimmage and he audible to play, and they got to think about changing in the starting count. He looked like he saw someone open on the top of the field there. He audible to the play, and offensive lineman just did adjust to it.
A puzzle here for those who follow Notre Dame is the fact that everyone except Durger in that offensive line is back as a starter from last year. But they just not be able to get together. And the great running back in Pickett, great fullbacks in Smith and Brooks. Right now, Brooks is in there. 1st and 15. Grooms running the opposite of his own. Grooms keeps. Grooms is running into trouble and taken down after a 5, 6, 7-yard pickup to the 34. It'll be 2nd down and 8. Tim Scannell was the guy who did the blocking that time and sprung Grooms loose.
Well, you don't run this too often. You see Grooms coming down line screen, makes a good decision, slips a little bit. The field's awful wet right now. Picks up 7, but he needed that on 1st down and 10. That's still 2nd down and 8.
Steve Sigler, who's giving Scott Thomas a little rest at safety, made the stop for the Air Force. 2nd and 8 at the 34. Notre Dame really has to do something here to make this break pay off. Here's the counter play on the inside. Pickett. Pickett runs into about 3 players. Picks up a short gain to the 31. Tim DeRuyter, Steve Sigler teamed up there. And so it's Notre Dame forcing a 3rd down and 6 at the 32-yard line. Big play here for the Irish.
Well, they went their split backs offense that time. One of the few times they've done it. One of the things the team will do out of split backs is run that trap. Air Force was very much alert to that.
Well, they're set up again in the pro set. Brooks and Pickett split in the backfield. Grooms, 3rd down. Needs 6 yards. Drills it downfield. Intercepted, but here comes number 24, Wilson. Up over the 40. And he's hit as he crosses the 45-yard line. And the Air Force take it away back. And Notre Dame is shut out for the second time after a big turnover here in the third period.
Well, that's a big play from the defensive standpoint. Air Force, you can see that Air Force team on the sideline. You can see them coming on the field, all excited. That could have been a big key drive. They got 2 turnovers, didn't take advantage of it. You can't continue to do that and win football games.
Dwayne Wilson, the interception. Air Force ball. They lead 14-7. Will be. Well, Jerry Faust, Irish had their chances. Door was left open twice, 2 turnovers, but then boom. The Air Force defense rose to the occasion.
Good recovery by the defensive back to make this play. He had plenty of time to get it down there. He's a little slow in delivering it. Good interception by Wilson. But I'll be a bit surprised right now if the Notre Dame defense, Jim, doesn't have a little bit of letdown. They just forced 2 turnovers. The offense didn't do anything. Air Force comes out all fired up. This is a very, very mentally crucial time. It's very difficult for that defense to stay up right now.
Air Force ball at its 47, 1st and 10. Air Force leads 14-7, 5 minutes to go in the third period. They give it to the fullback, and slamming in there is Pat Evans, a powerful sophomore from Vicksburg, Mississippi, number 36. He's taken over from all-time ground gainer John Kirshner, who was the fullback a year ago, and Evans has been a great surprise. And Air Force thought they'd really missed Kirshner, but Evans has taken up the slack and plenty more.
Amazing thing about all those backs, they all look alike. 5'10", 5'11", 185, 190, all about the same size, look very much alike.
Right now it's Pashesniak and Simmons at the halfbacks and Evans at fullback. Weiss comes with the option. Gives to his fullback again on a slant. And Evans, like a bull, runs it to the 45-yard line. He's in Notre Dame territory, hit by Francisco. So Hiawatha is back in there for the Irish.
Well, they put a little ice on his wrist on the sideline, and he says, hey, I want to play. This is an important ball game for our football team.
That was a pickup. Dan leaves about a yard to go, so it'll be 3rd down and 1 inside the 45. Would you look at that rushing yardage? Could you believe our Air Force has outrun Notre Dame 287 to only 69?
Well, they're averaging 333 yards per game coming into here.
Notre Dame has never been held, I don't think, under 100 yards in a game. Well, this has got a long way to go, though. Big play. Not McKee by Weiss. No, he's thrown for a loss. Big play by Notre Dame's John McKee.
Well, I can assure you, Jim, that defensive series by the Notre Dame defense deserves a lot of credit. When you go out there and have a couple turnovers, the team offense doesn't do anything. Normally you have to, here it is from the ground level, see him coming out, running the opposite end of the short side. They really did a super job of coming up to make this play. What a big play that was for John McKay.
John McKay from Arlington Heights, Illinois, 228-pound junior. There goes Weiss, who's put a stout game for the Air Force, but he couldn't come up with a big play that time. Mark Simon in the punt for the Air Force will try to put Notre Dame deep. Back waiting is Troy Wilson for the Irish. Penalty flag goes down. There's the left-footed kick away. And Notre Dame's going to let it hit, and it goes out of bounds inside the 10, I believe. What's the flag all about? They spotted on the 11. The penalty marker is down.
Well, I'm sure Jerry Faust right now got his fingers crossed it's not against them, because if they were offside, it'd be a 1st down. Penalty against Air Force. I'm sure they'll take this penalty.
Well, I would think so. Out of bounds on the 11. Well, I tell you, though, this Simon is a great punter. He might just come right back and put it out of bounds inside the 10.
Only a sophomore. He's averaging 43.5 yards per kick coming into this game.
Fisher DeBerry right there replaced Ken Hatfield last year, who's already started a great career at Arkansas back at his alma mater.
Well, he's done an excellent job with this football team. They've been very well prepared. They're doing the things that they can do today, taking advantage of their size.
They put Joe Howard. That's Howard down the bottom of your screen. So Howard is back there with Wilson now for Notre Dame. And figuring this time that Simon will not go for Coffin corner. He's just kicking away. Line of scrimmage is the 49, so he'll kick it from about his own 39. There's the kick. And it's a beauty. High spire. They're going to let it hit, and it goes into the end zone. So it's a break for Notre Dame. They pick up 9 yards after the penalty by taking over not at the 11, but at the 20, 1st and 10. Time, though, beginning to run along here. Nothing has happened so far in the third period with 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go. Yes, it's been a wet day here in northern Indiana, and the rain continues to come down, although it's not raining as heavily as it was earlier.
Well, the middle of the field seems to be a little bit wet. It's difficult for the backs to cut when they try to make any cutback, but as far as straight ahead, they're all that, no problems.
Scott Grooms takes it outside to fullback Smith. Smith tries to get to the right side wide and cut back, and he's taken out after a short gain by Chris Funk. Larry Williams was coming out pulling on that play, and that's something to see. Williams is 6'6", 276. You see him coming. You just have to figure that somewhere back there behind him is a running back.
Well, again, that's a new play we haven't seen before. They just turned it and tossed the ball to the fullback out of split back. They really haven't established anything yet today, Jim.
Tailback is Pinkett. Fullback is still Smith. Second and 9 for Green. They get it to Pinkett. Tries the middle. Stopped at the 24. Mike Chandler is the first man to get in there, a linebacker for the Air Force, and Pat Malakowski. LSU against Vanderbilt tonight. LSU's ranked number 16 in this week's ESPN poll. Jim Simpson and Paul McGuire. They're getting all primed down there about right now. They'll be there at Tiger Stadium when the roar goes up tonight. And LSU and Vanderbilt tee off here on ESPN.
Well, again, Notre Dame faced with a key third down situation. They've been 5 of 12 so far today's ball game.
3rd and 6 for Grooms. Needs a big play. And now he's going to run with it. And he's going to have a trouble to make the first down, but I think he made it. He did. Grooms gets back up there. Air Force didn't commit defensively. They just sort of waited for him. And Grooms picks up the first down. That was a key play.
Well, he did a good job of finding this. He goes back. The receivers are covered. Air Force doing a good job. You see him looking around outside, tries to find Bavaro. Now there's a little bit of opening. He lowers his shoulder there at the end and just makes enough to get across the line to make the first down.
Little submarine act went underneath. And it's first down Notre Dame at their own 30-yard line. Howard to the left, Jackson to the right for the Irish. 1 minute, 10 seconds to go. Pinkett tries the middle, gets a little crease, runs right into the arms of a defensive player. Looks like it might have been Ziegler. And John Ziegler helped out Chris Smith, fullback, trying to lead the way there. And they spotted on the 36, so missed to gain that time for Pinkett.
And that first down that they made during the play before was the first down that Notre Dame has made this half. They've gone this almost entire third quarter. That was their very first down with only 40-some seconds to go in this quarter.
You know, when Pinkett was a high school star, he really didn't like Notre Dame because they won all the time. Almost went to North Carolina, but then he changed his mind. Here he is. And here is the pitch out to Chris Smith, the fullback. Got the first down over the 40, 45, and then is hit down by Rotello at the 46-yard line. First down for Notre Dame. Coming down the final 25 seconds of the third period.
Well, you don't normally see a big fullback like this running the pitch this well. He turns and pitches it. The same play ran a little while ago. A couple of good lead blocks out there. Now he turns it upfield. And in this type of field, when a little guy goes and cuts the legs underneath for a big guy, he'll go down. You don't have to make that great tackle on this type of field.
Smith's 231. Rotello 181 to make the stop. About 50 pounds right there. 10 seconds to go here in the third period. This will be the last play, probably of this quarter. Option play again by Groom. Pitches out, a fumble back here by Pitt. Loose ball. I think Air Force is going to get it. They do. At the 42-yard line of Notre Dame. Terry Mackey, the linebacker for the Air Force. You saw Pinkett try to recover it. And look at the gloom here. These Notre Dame players are trudging back to the bench end, their heads down, as Air Force at the end of the third quarter leads 14-7. Fourth quarter coming up. You have to wonder how many more chances going to be handed to Notre Dame. 2 turnovers here in the third period. And twice they've coughed it up. Once interception, and then the final play of the third period. They lost this one on a fumble.
Well, there it is. There's the first time he's run the option and made the pitch. There's the fumble. Everybody says, what's wrong with the offense? Blocking is the thing that's wrong with the offense right now.
Terry Mackey covering that ball. So the Air Force has the ball. We start the fourth period. They run the counter play. Here comes Simmons breaking through and all the way to the 30-yard line. Hiawatha Francisco was able to catch Simmons, or he might have been off to the end zone.
Well, we said that before, Jim. Just about one series behind us, and the defense has to have a little bit of letdown. Here's a counter play. Turns around again, comes back wide open as he gets through the line of scrimmage. Overcommitment by the linebacker. Now they have to make, when those safety men are making a tackle, you're making yardage.
That puts Simmons over the 100-yard mark. 16 carries for 109 yards today for the senior halfback from San Antonio, Texas. Look at that yardage. They've doubled it. Off the total, that's total offense. Again, they go on the counter with Simmons. Hits up the middle. Simmons picks up 5 more yards. It's 114 for him. Kovaleski on the inside makes the stop for Notre Dame. playing in there for the injured Larkin.
There's something psychologically about your defense being on the field so long and so often that eventually something has to give. That offense knows the starting count. They know what they're trying to accomplish. And defensively right now, Notre Dame needs a break. They need a penalty or another fumble, or I think Air Force may put some more points on the board.
Air Force had some problems. They've coughed the ball up twice here in the second half. Now they're down to 25. Here's the keep by Weiss. He's got room. Weiss over the 20 to 15. Weiss to the 10. Another first down to the Air Force. Pat Valleys. But here are the Falcons from Colorado Springs closing in perhaps for the kill against Notre Dame.
Well, we're seeing them repeat the same plays. They don't run many plays, but what they do well. Makes the fullback, cuts upfield. The fullback can run the ball pretty good. He knows he protects the football as he goes down, and Notre Dame trying to strip him.
All right, this has been a great performance here today by Weiss.
See, Weiss again, the same thing. Now, he's got about 11 carries for 54 yards. The rushing yardage is really getting to be a big difference now.
It's 1st and 10. The ball just outside the counter again to Simmons to the 6. Jody Simmons on that little short trap counter play. John McCabe was down there to make the stop. They've got Notre Dame looking for the option now, and they're coming back behind the pursuit and hitting against the grain with the counter plays.
Well, more than likely they won't put the ball up in the air down here in this situation because he realizes 3 points could almost put it the way Notre Dame's offense is not moving the ball out of range. But if we are to see it pass, look for it to be the same type of play as we went for the 2-point conversion, an option type pass.
2nd and 5 for the Air Force at the Notre Dame 6. Falcons have got their sights set on the Notre Dame goal line. And they pitch it outside. As a fumble in the backfield, Notre Dame's got it. Can you believe that?
What a break.
A slippery field again is haunting the Air Force. And Notre Dame is getting another big break. That was Mike Gann, number 78 at left tackle.
Well, Jim, that's what I said. They had to have either fumble or penalty to give them the break. Notre Dame didn't cause that. That was Air Force's execution. But they really needed that in that situation. Otherwise, they might have been out of this ballgame. There he is. He makes a pitch. Two-handed pitch this time. Got a look. Normally, he hadn't been making that same type of pitch with it. Trying to make it too sure. There's a recovery.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the pitch, Ed. I think the ball was there. I think it was just mishandled a little bit by Pashestian.
A little bit slightly behind him, which is hard to catch when you're running away from it, especially on a wet field.
9-yard line, Notre Dame. They're back in a hole, but for the moment, they have shut down the Air Force scoring threat. Here's Groom on the play action, going to the sidelines. Over the head of Jackson, incomplete. Well, coming over there was Dwan Wilson, who came up with the interception back earlier in this period.
He had him open, Jim. He just overthrew the ball. He threw the ball a little bit off his back foot. When he went back, you really got to plant on the wet field. You really got to throw hard against that front foot to keep the ball from sailing.
Well, you're wondering what's going through the mind of this man, Jerry Faust.
Well, he's thinking about the game right now. He has no thinks about all these other things. You know, he's thinking now, what can we do? What adjustments? He's listening to coaches make their calls, agreeing with them, or making suggestions.
Notre Dame got Jackson to the left. And here's the play action. Groom's back inside his 5, down the middle. Broken up, almost intercepted. That one should have been picked off by Scott Thomas. Intended for Mark Bavaro, the tight end over the middle. And Thomas timed that perfectly. Boy, these are alert guys in this Air Force secondary.
Well, they have done a good job. That pass where he fakes a running action, rolls out to his right. Bavaro comes across the field. The Air Force Academy's defensive coaches have done an excellent job of single and doubling that up and being able to anticipate. That's the one route that they've run off of that. That's the only play they've tried to accomplish off that today.
And it's 3rd down and 10 now for Notre Dame. They took the ball away on the fumble. They made a big play. Need a big play here, though, to keep going. Goes back in his end zone. Moves downside, and he's caught the ball to Pickett. First down over the 25 to the 30. Big play of Grooms to Pickett just when he was running into some heat in his own end zone. Here comes Pickett, the All-American, number 20, to make the grab.
Well, he had plenty of time. Give the offensive line some credit here for giving him good protection. See him going back. Now Pickett comes out from the right, comes all the way across the field with his speed, simply outruns. Now he's open. Here it comes, looks the ball all the way in. Now when he gets in trouble, watch him protect the ball this time, which he didn't do before. See him wrap both hands around that ball and protect it.
Big play gets Notre Dame out of a hole, and they keep possession up at their 29-yard line. First down play, fake to Pickett. Groom's got to unload in a hurry. He's going for everything downfield, and it's incomplete. He was trying to hit to Howard, and he was covered all the way by Rotello. Incomplete pass.
Well, they haven't had any success throwing the ball in front of those defensive cornerbacks, so they're able to sit back there and wait for the long pass or the up. They haven't been able to throw the ball underneath with any of the out, so you can't expect to get the defense.
Can't blame Air Force for watching Howard. The biggest game he ever had was against the Air Force. That was 2 years ago, 94 yards. And then last year had the second biggest game of his career, 90 yards with a couple of catches. Now they run the draw play to Pinkett. Pinkett goes the 30, breaks the tackle to the 40, and is out of bounds with a first down around the 42. So Pinkett has become the big play man here for Notre Dame. That's what you expect from a guy who came in here after a season of almost 1,400 yards running last year and a great year of catching the ball. Here he goes again.
Yeah, you see the lead back Smith going through, getting a good block on the linebacker on the draw. Missed tackle there. Now he's got some running room going down the sideline, and of course drives him out of bounds.
Another first down for Notre Dame. 12 minutes to go in the game. Air Force 14, Notre Dame 7. Irish really hasn't done much here in the second half. Now they're showing some signs of life for the first time. Out to their 42 with a 1st and 10. Here's a quick pitch to the fullback. Smith breaks one tackle and then runs right in. Ziegler missed him, and he ran right into Chris Funk, who takes him down for the Air Force defense.
Well, Larry Williams was trying to lead that play to get out there. Detroit leading San Diego 4-1 in the top of the 6th inning.
Well, that would give them a 3-1 lead, Ed, and they took a 2-1 lead in the series last night. So Sparky Anderson on the verge of another world championship, maybe.
You know them Detroit fans are going crazy.
Well, you can believe that. 14-7 here. Air Force, Notre Dame trying to get going. Grooms on a rollout. Drills it to his tight end, Navarro. Navarro is taken down on the 50-yard line and falls into Air Force territory on the 49. He hasn't caught many balls today.
I think that might be his second catch, but that's where they've got to get to him, get the ball to him quick on those things. Now you got a big 3rd down and short yardage play.
3rd down and a yard for Notre Dame. You know, I'm wondering here, if they don't make it this time, they might try to go on 4th down if they have to. 11 minutes to go. It's a long time. Notre Dame has got to make something happen.
Take it back there about 7 yards deep. Quarterback sneak.
And it's going to be close. Going to be close and deep for Scott Grooms, who tried to duck in behind those big linemen. Mike Kelly, Tim Scannell.
I don't think he made it, Jim. I think the official, where the official marked the ball, the side official there, was kind of partially shielded a little bit, and he might have missed it by about 6 inches.
He has to get down to about the 48.5-yard line. He did not make it. I don't think he made it either. They could call for a measurement, and they're going to do that. But I agree with you, Ed. I think you made a nice judgment there. I think it's going to be short by a half length of football and full length of the ball.
I also think in this situation right now, Notre Dame has to go for this. I don't think they can think about not going for it. Behind 7 points, 11 minutes to go in the ball game. The way I think the fans would come out of the stadium if they didn't go for it on this situation.
They're going to try to wake up some of the echoes here, as they say in the fight song, and hark back to those old days, the spirit of the Fighting Irish. You can remember years, Ed, I'm sure you can. This been a piece of cake for Notre Dame. A play like this just set for them, and this team hasn't performed that way, not today. 4th down and a foot. 2 fullbacks back there in front of Pinkett. And they give it to Pinkett, and Pinkett will stop. They got him on the 49. Air Force will take over. Notre Dame gambled on 4th down at midfield. Well, don't question the gamble. It appeared to be the thing to do. Pinkett trying to motion. He had forward motion, but it was obvious he didn't come close. Chris Funk met him at the top and drove him back. I think he lost a half yard.
Well, I would think he lost 6 inches on that. Now we had 6 inches to go. I think now they missed it by 6 more.
I agree. They'll bring the chains out to measure, but that looks to be a foregone conclusion. And there's the gathering gloom along the Notre Dame sideline. Still a lot of time to go in this game, but the signs have become fairly obvious here in this second half. Air Force, even giving up the football 3 times on turnovers, is controlling this game. They lead 14-7, and we'll be right back. Well, I hope you're enjoying College Football 84 here at ESPN. You'll continue to do so tonight, I am sure. LSU versus Vanderbilt from Baton Rouge Tiger Stadium. And here at Notre Dame, Indiana, Jerry Faust looking as things become a little bit darker for the Irish. Air Force holds to take over at its own 49. Counter play again. Kicking to there is Simmons. Notre Dame has shut down the wide option pitch outs to a great degree. And so Air Force reverting back to the counter plays, hitting up on the inside. That was a 5-yard advance by Simmons. I think it was spotted on the 47, giving 4 before Mike Griffin made the stop. 2nd and 6.
Simmons got about 123 yards rushing now, but you can imagine what's going through the Bears' mind over this is we need to get 3 more points on that scoreboard. We can't continue to not to score when we get these opportunities.
At the middle, fullback Evans. And now Air Force has changed its philosophy here. They were going wide to the outside a lot. And with Notre Dame adjusting to cover the flanks, they're trying to hit the soft underbelly up the middle. Mike Griffin makes his 2nd straight stop. But fullback Evans gets it down within a yard of a first down. And here's Air Force facing 3rd and 1.
Well, pressure again on that Notre Dame defense to make the stand and try to get the ball back for the offense one more time. Clock becoming a big factor in this game, Jim.
Big play for Notre Dame here. Try and stop him. Give it to Simmons. First down. Plunges to the 40. Air Force will keep rolling, and the clock continues to run as the Falcons keep the ball on the ground. Isn't that something? Falcons stay on the ground. Well, Falcon, of course, is the mascot for this Air Force team. They call him Mach 1. The speed of sound. And they were to have a halftime show here with the Falcons because of the rain that was canceled. But I understand that spectacular show.
Oh, it's really something to watch those Falcons operate. It really makes you realize you wouldn't want one coming after you.
You got Eric Parrish, the big play guy, back in there as a wide receiver. Here comes Air Force now. Here's the keep. Now they pitch it back outside. They pitch it to Les Simmons, who slips and goes down as he tries to cut around the corner. Going to get a gain of a couple of yards to the 38, and it'll be 2nd down and 8 to go.
Well, those lead backs are doing an excellent job. Watch the cut block. We see that. Here's the fake the fullback. Now he gives it. When he makes the pitch, watch the cut block in front of him. We can see it. There he was, right in the legs of Ballage. It's nothing for him to do except get knocked down.
Simmons now 126 yards, 21 carries. He's having a great day against Notre Dame. One he'll remember the rest of his life, I'm sure. 2nd and 8. And now the pitch is to Simmons to the left side. Simmons turns the corner. 35, and he is hit out of bounds in the 33 by Hiawatha Francisco.
Well, once again, the key to that play was the good block by Precisionek on that play as he goes out there. Here's Francisco. Here's he coming across from the pursuit angle. Has to hold down, thinks the quarterback may keep. Now as he's coming, he has to make the tackle because the cornerback was cut down up there. He's seen down. See Ballage cut down off his feet by Precisionek.
You know, Francisco came here as a highly touted tailback, and now they switched him. He's too good a player to sit on the bench with Pickett here, so they put him on the defense. Up the middle. Full back Evans trying for the first down. He's going to be close.
Now you got a tough decision from the Air Force's standpoint. It's going to be 4th down. Do you go try to take the 3 points and maybe put yourself out of a touchdown? Or on 4th down, do you go for it now with the ball on about the 30.5-yard line?
They got to go about 1.5 feet. You were a coach, Ed. What's your call?
Well, in college ball, I really believe they'll go for the first down here because of the length of the field goal. In pro ball, I think you'd see the field goal team coming out there. That's the difference in, a little bit difference in the game.
Well, now anticipating that's coming in with a couple of hefty linemen and a bolster up the inside. Greg Venges comes in. Air Force going to go for it. 4th down. They need about 1.5 feet. Now they want timeout. I think Rice wanted to look at the Notre Dame defense.
No, they got caught up in trying to make the decision. The 25-second clock had run down to 1 second. They would not have gotten a playoff. They'd have had to take a penalty. Quarterback quickly looked up and took the timeout.
So we'll have to wait for this key play in just a moment. Air Force 14, Notre Dame. For an auto racing triple-header tomorrow on ESPN. Join us for the NASCAR Holly Farms 400 in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina at 1 p.m. At 4, it's the World Endurance Series Fuji 1000 from Japan, and then the Kart Stros 150 from Phoenix at 5 o'clock. All 3 here tomorrow on ESPN. 4th down play for the Air Force, and slamming in there to get it goes Pat Evans. Good second effort by sophomore fullback Pat Evans, who was hit by Mike Griffin at the point of contact, but I think the second effort might have gotten for him. They're going to call the chain into measure. Let's see if we call this too quickly yet. I think he made it.
They hadn't even initially stopped, but I think he made a little extra surge by trying to fire out a little bit to the left on that side. I think he made the ball by, maybe the length of the football. Great effort by him.
Clock shows 7 minutes, 38 seconds to go in the game. Nobody has scored in the second half. It's 1st down Air Force at the Notre Dame 29. Air Force trying to make it 3 straight wins over Notre Dame. That'd be quite a feather in the cap of young first-year coach Fisher DeBerry of the Falcons.
I think that's about the 20th first down for the Air Force Academy, Jim, and they're really hanging on the football and keeping it away and piling up this rushing yardage.
Well, they're not going to hurt their standing any in that rushing statistic. They stand number 2 in the nation behind Army, 333 yards. They're going to get that, I think. They had well over 200 at the first half. Notre Dame's had 10 first downs, Air Force 20. First down play. Here's a keep by Weiss. Quarterback pitches it out now, and here comes Simmons trying the corner. He's to the 20, and he takes a hit and drives Francisco backwards. Francisco hit him, and Simmons just ducked his shoulder, and here's Air Force, the team that's taking it to them.
Well, as he comes down the line of scrimmage down, they've got the corner going off. That safety has to come up and give the outside beat to make the outside pitch. Got a long way to go. Francisco finally gets there, but after he's made 10 yards. Good hit by Francisco, but very difficult play for a safety.
That's another first down for the Air Force. That's 21 for the Falcons to Notre Dame's 10. The ball is at the 19-yard line of Notre Dame. This is the second time this quarter the Air Force has been down here. They were once down inside the 10-yard line and fumbled. We're wondering if the Miracles are going to run out for Notre Dame. Fullback Evans fights his way inside the 15-yard line. Robert Banks on the stop for the Fighting Irish.
Well, Evans did an excellent job of cutting back off the block of the center. He was trying to go to the right side, and all of a sudden there wasn't anything there, and he made a little move to go back to the left side, picked the little bit of yardage they made up all on his own.
Air Force has been relentless. The superintendent of the Air Force Academy, Lieutenant General Winfield Scott, as you're watching the game, and that was one of the thrills we had yesterday. I can remember as a kid, he played the backfield up there with Rip Rohr and Arnold Gallipa. That was after Blanchard Davis. Winfield Scott, he looks trim enough to play it.
Oh, you're showing your age, Jim.
I don't mind. That was a great thrill to me. Inside handoff. The counter doesn't work this time. Boy, they just slammed Simmons back. Wally Klein must have been waiting for that play. 6'9", 278. He's a cousin, of course, to Joe Klein, who came here to play basketball, then transferred to Arkansas, and is making quite a name for himself out there.
Well,
on the Olympic team.
I think Fisher DeBerry is making sure they play very conservative here. Now, they don't want to take a chance on making a pitch out or a fumble. He knows 3 points right now. They're in great field goal range for Mateos. I think he knows the importance of a field goal.
3 points be very big. 14-7. Air Force leads. Notre Dame, of course, if it stays that way, can take the lead with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Here's the keep by Weiss. He cuts back. He's going to get more. He's got a first down all the way to the 6-yard line of Notre Dame. Bart Weiss saw the opening, and he just ran to daylight. Another first down with the Air Force, first and goal.
Well, here comes Weiss. Now, what a smart play by him. He realized he don't want to take a chance on any ball handling. He knows he can turn up the ball within the middle field, but there's an opening there. He makes the first down. Comes back to him by himself.
Well, he's a better runner, this guy is. They got 2 quarterbacks, Air Force does, Bart Weiss and Brian Knorr. Knorr's the better passer. Weiss the better runner, and he's shown that here. He had 103 yards last week against Navy, and he's having another big game here today. First down play. Here's Weiss on the keep. Weiss trying to cut outside, stopped on the 5. Big defensive play for Notre Dame by Greg Dingsus.
Well, once again, I think you find you've seen Weiss showing his brains and his thinking down there. There's, less than 6 minutes to go in this game. They know they're in field goal range. The clock is running, and they don't want to take any chance on a fumble or something that would give Notre Dame one more opportunity to get that ball.
Clock's running with exactly 5 minutes to go in the game. Air Force showcasing its number 2 NCAA rushing team here today. They are also third in scoring in the NCAA with over 37 points a game. They're not going to get that today, but that's secondary. They're leading the game against Notre Dame. Here's the keep by Weiss. Weiss slips and cuts down as he is stopped by Mike Gann right at the 5-yard line. But look where the ball is, right in front of the uprights.
Well, again, early in the game, I believe he'd have made that pitch to that halfback coming out there, but he realizes now the situation, the score, the fact that the importance of this field goal could be. Air Force defense, we talked a little bit about Notre Dame not scoring, but their defense was ranked 20th coming into this game, Jim. They were only giving up 294 yards per game, and Notre Dame certainly hasn't harmed that any.
You talked about Air Force's TV stream. They're trying to make it 7 straight. Notre Dame's TV record is 29, 24, and 1. So they've been on national television 55 times, winning 29 of them. But they're in danger of losing their 25th here today. So the crowd sets a little stunt. Time running out. Air Force 14, Notre Dame 7. Well, Jerry Faust is, they say you put pressure on yourself if there is any pressure, but it's come from the Notre Dame fans and young Fisher DeBerry, head coach in his first year with the Air Force, trying to get a memorable win here, which will be one for him. Notre Dame trying to make a goal line stand. Look at that rushing yardage. It's incredible. Over 365 yards. Air Force going to remain number 2. Here's a keep by Weiss, touchdown. Weiss keeps it for a touchdown. He followed Evans right into the end zone, and that could be all she wrote for Notre Dame. Air Force is going to go up by 2 touchdowns with 4 minutes to go.
Well, he kept the ball himself down there again, and of course he did it 3 plays in a row. Finally saw the little opening he needed to get in there. He knew again that he didn't want to have any ball handling. Comes down the line, makes the fake, looking to keep the ball all the way. Sees the little action, darts in there. You know, actually, he goes in for the touchdown. The quarterbacks have scored 11 touchdowns now for the Air Force Academy. Look at this. Here's another angle from the end zone. Looking at it. He just sees daylight, protects the ball, puts it in there for the score.
That's the 6th touchdown running this year for Bart Weiss, a 6-foot junior from Naples, Florida. Bartholomew he is. He's made a name for himself here today, along with Jody Simmons. The kick for the point. 14-point lead Air Force. 4 minutes and 7 seconds to go for a Notre Dame team that has been somewhat lethargic here in the second half. Air Force finally took it in without turning it over here in the second half, and now they've got some working room. A 14-point lead. Just over 4 minutes to go in the game as Carlos Mateos tees it up here to kick it off, and waiting deep for Notre Dame. Bottom of your screen is number 81, Tim Brown, and Hiawatha Francisco is on the right at the top of the screen.
Well, you can really almost sense it coming. They just gave him opportunity after opportunity. He finally took advantage of it.
High kick, short. Here comes Brown at the 22. Brown gets an opening up the middle. He can make a long one over the 40, out to the 45. Ooh, Tim Brown, a freshman who can fly from Dallas, Texas, came close to really breaking something big there for Notre Dame, and he got all the way on that one. The Irishman has still had time. You never know, so hang on. There's the scoring drive. 14 plays to cover the 51 yards. That came after Notre Dame tried on 4th and a foot and didn't make it.
Well, they got to put the ball up in the air now. They have to score quick if they can.
Here's Grooms. Remember, they're playing without Burline. Grooms drills it. Short, incomplete, intended for Milt Jackson. A little hook pattern down around the 40. Tim DeRuiter was putting the pressure that time to Grooms. Ziegler was also coming, so Air Force kind of pinned their ears back now, won't they, Ed, and be coming here on number 10.
Well, they recognize that all he can do is throw the ball because he has to get on the board. They need 2 touchdowns to get back in the game. Those defensive linemen love this kind of situation. Big win. This could be a big win for the Air Force, facing BYU next week.
Grooms hit 10 out of 25 for 83 yards. And he's got a man up the middle, tight end Bavaro. He's over to the Air Force territory on the 41 for a first down.
Well, they got to go without the no-huddle offense now. They got to get up there. He's got to call the plays at the line of scrimmage. The clock stops till they change it. Now it will start when the referee winds it. They can conserve time if they hustle.
Notre Dame needs 2 touchdowns, at least 1 2-point conversion. Sideline pattern to Pickett in the air. Oh, boy, that ball gets tipped. And the penalty flag goes down. Pickett, the intended receiver, he was hit over there by A.J. Scott, the strong safety. They call him the Falcon. And this is going to be interference call against the Air Force.
I don't know whether they called this interference or whether they called it a late hit, Jim. If he called the defensive back for hitting him after the ball wasn't caught.
That is personal foul. So they did not call interference. Personal foul, which in this case may be more damaging to the Air Force. It'll be the spot of the infraction. Fisher DeBerry can't believe it. A young man who played for the Wofford Terriers down in Spartanburg, South Carolina, before he got into coaching up at the Appalachian. Now here at the Air Force after serving 3 years under Ken Hatfield, the new coach at Arkansas. Well, personal foul.
The one thing you don't want to have happen from a coaching standpoint is penalties now, because that stops the clock and gives them that extra cheap 15 yards.
Still plenty of time left for anything to happen. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. So Notre Dame going to be hanging in there. There's a late hit.
Late hit.
Well, that was close, Ed. Awfully close, wasn't it? There's a play action fake. Now Grooms lets it go, incomplete. Grooms was really nailed by number 96, Chris Funk. He was going toward the end zone where he had Milt Jackson flying for trying for a 6-pointer.
Well, that Chris Funk is their All-American candidate. He's their best rusher. He's their best defensive lineman. Now you can see him come into the fore. But this ball game from the Air Force standpoint puts them in line for a possible bowl bid. Brigham Young, big game in the WAC conference. Hey, that conference getting awful tough, Jim.
I tell you that Brigham Young can put it in the air. They think this guy can throw. Wait till they say Bosco next to it. Now Groom's going to be wrapped up and sacked around the 30-yard line. Boy, Air Force had 4 defenders back in the end zone that time covering. DeRuiter was the guy who got to Grooms first. Nicholas was also bearing in there. DeRuiter's played a pretty good game. He's only 209 pounds for a defensive end from Long Beach, California. The Falcons come from 27 states, Texas being the leading one with 14. Faust looks on with his Irish style trailing. 21-7, 3:22 to go. Scott Grooms, who was really put on the spot today when Steve Berline, because of a shoulder separation last week he suffered against Miami, could not play. Grooms was sent in for his first starting assignment here in Notre Dame. He's a young man who had transferred out of Notre Dame, had come back for a second chance. And so he's really been in the spotlight. There's Pinkett in motion. Look out to trying to throw the Pinkett if they can. Oh, they're going to go instead on field and intercept. Almost broken up. Almost intercepted. Just cutting in there was Scott Thomas and nearly pulled it down. And that ball got tipped. And you know something? Milt Jackson was behind the defense. And if the tip had been a little higher, it could have been a touchdown for Notre Dame.
Well, that's the same pattern they've been running most of the day, Jim, where the outside receiver just really runs down, tries to go deep. Bavaro comes across in that intermediate zone, and the Pickett is out in the flat. But the Air Force has done a good job of reading that and playing the pattern.
Coming tonight, LSU and Vanderbilt, a key Southeastern Conference game here on ESPN, 7:30 Eastern Time. It's a 4th down play for Notre Dame. They got to make this one count. Here's Grooms, drills it, incomplete. Trying to hit over the middle to Howard. Incomplete pass. Air Force takes over, and you wonder if that might not have been the last gasp for the Fighting Irish with 3 minutes to go.
Well, Jim, it probably is, because they're going to run the ball and eat up the clock, and hear an awful lot of boos in the Notre Dame Stadium, which is something you don't normally hear. Jerry Faust, very little disconsolate down there now. Mike Scott trying to urge the defense on, trying to stay in the ball game, but very difficult situation. Jerry's got to be giving some awful serious thought to what he's going to say to this squad now, losing 2 games in a row. 3rd loss in 3 years to the Air Force Academy, and you know, he's less than human if he doesn't realize the things that are going on right now. The press is on him, the fans are on him, and no one likes to go through those kind of situations.
There was the story. 3 minutes, 10 seconds to go. Air Force, you know what they're going to do. They're going to keep the ball on the ground, try to make some first downs. Brown is in as a halfback, so is Simmons, who's had a great day. Weiss on the keep. Weiss cuts it back upfield and gets over the 30 for a couple of yards pickup. It'll be 2nd down and 8 from the Air Force 31, but importantly from the Falcons standpoint, the clock continues to run. Now less than 3 minutes to go, 2:50.
Yeah, Notre Dame only has 1 timeout left. If they're going to use it, they'll probably try to use it after 3rd down, because you can eat up a little bit more time there. But right now, Notre Dame has to have something. Oh, they're going to use their last timeout now. Now, see, Jim, there they wasn't on the ball. If they're going to use that timeout, take it right now. You know, they let 10, 15 seconds go off before they decide to take the timeout. Now, Francisco possibly is hurt. Maybe I'm being unfair, but it looks like he's limping off here this late stage of the game. But I hope he doesn't think that didn't cost him a timeout because he's injured. Because less than 2 minutes, you don't get that timeout.
You know, Notre Dame has kept the infirmary working overtime here at Notre Dame, Indiana. Well, the injury list is really something. Mike Largan, the outside linebacker, who is out, didn't play. Steve Lawrence, a regular safety, is out and couldn't play. Tony Perjanik, who's a leading tackler, strained knee ligaments out. Alvin Miller, a regular split end, out with knee ligaments. Eric Dorsey, a defensive tackle, couldn't play because of a sprained ankle. Dave Metcalf, who had a broken ankle in October, so he's out for the season probably. And Dan Tanzos had knee surgery about a week ago. A tight end is up.
And the other thing that does to you, it forces you from a practice standpoint. You get a little bit run scared of doing any hitting and scrimmaging. You kind of say, we better not hit anymore because if we lose anybody, so you go through practice with maybe not the same degree of toughness that you normally would like to have.
As a matter of fact, Larry Williams has played 4 or 5 weeks and hasn't been able to practice a day. And he just comes in and plays on Saturday but can't practice in the week because of an ankle injury. There's Francisco. Looks like they're working maybe on his knee.
Well, I thought when he first came out, it looked like he might have had a cramp in that leg, but he is looking fooling with the knee here and moving it around. Looks like he's trying to work around. We normally feel that cartilage situation.
David McGuffey goes in to replace him. Well, Francisco's importance isn't really that great right now with the situation. Air Force is not going to be throwing the ball, I wouldn't think, with 2 minutes and 41 seconds to go on a 14-point lead.
No, but it becomes important when we realize that Lawrence, our starting free safety, is out. He's out. Now maybe next week they'll be going to the South Carolina game with a 3rd free safety in there.
Loss here would be the third of the season for Notre Dame against 3 wins. Here comes the option again with Weiss. Weiss going to keep it. All the way, he keeps it at 34. Collared by Pat Ballard, and 5 yards short of a first down. Notre Dame kills the clock immediately here now with its final timeout and 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go. And that's what Ed Biles was talking about a moment ago. If you're going to use a timeout, make every second count.
You got to call them just as quickly. That whoever has the authority to call those timeouts, once you get in that official phase, those seconds become very important late in the ball game. Maybe not in a game like this, but future ways down the line.
There's Weiss, number 4, going over to talk to his coach, Fisher DeBerry. Weiss had played only 39 minutes in 1983, but he has come back here to, with Brian Noer, give the Air Force. Does that tell you a story? Does that tell you a story of what's happened here in Notre Dame football?
That's a complete story, and I think the whole stands, as you look around, are just shocked. I think they felt like this was an opportunity for the Notre Dame football team to get their offense untracked. Their offense just is not doing things. They're not blocking. They're not executing. You can sum it up any way you want, but right now, their offensive football team, whether it be because of the injuries, whether it be because of the change in the quarterbacks, but they have not been executing.
Notre Dame thought they had the horses this year, Ed. They said so, but the forlorn look of that young face a moment ago, an Irish booster, majorette, or whatever, tells you something here of the atmosphere of Notre Dame. They're really on a downer. 3rd and 4 for the Air Force at the 35. Notre Dame's got to stop it. They give it to fullback. No, it's a keep by Weiss. He's still got it. Cuts back upfield, and he'll be stopped short of the first down by Pat Ballage. So Ballage makes the stop. Notre Dame will get back the ball, but the time is the precious element right now, and it's slipping right through Notre Dame's fingers. 2 minutes to go, now less than 2, 1:56 and rolling. Notre Dame cannot stop the clock anymore unless they can get the ball out of bounds or an incomplete pass or something like that. They're out of timeout calls.
Well, Jim, that play, Air Force has gone over 400 yards in total offense. I think about 405 yards. Tells you something about a time of possession. And, of course, Weiss right now, the last few plays, has just been hanging on the ball, so it wouldn't be a fumble.
Air Force will take a 5-yard penalty here. They're going to let the clock roll down and take the 5-yard penalty, leaving exactly a minute and a half to go in the game. There's the delay of game call. So Air Force on the threshold here of a 3rd consecutive win over Notre Dame, and each of the 3 has to be called an upset. Well, that's saying something, but the Falcons establish themselves as quite a young power out there in the Western Athletic Conference and sets up a big game out there in the mountains next week against Brigham Young.
Well, I think it puts them in a great position from the future bowl game aspect of it. After Brigham Young, you know, they've got Army to play. They've got New Mexico and Texas at El Paso. They win 3 of those 4 ball games, and you know, you're looking at a team that's had 8 wins.
Back to punt now is Mark Simon, Troy Wilson. Notre Dame's got 10 men up there. They're going to try to block this punt. Here's a snap into Simon, and he gets away, and it's a dandy. And Wilson's waiting at the 30. And Air Force got men down there, but here comes the sidelines. Wilson just puts it out of bounds, stop the clock. He does that at the 35. 1 minute, 21 seconds to go.
Good job by Air Force on that line of scrimmage. They realized that Notre Dame was going to send 10 after them. Their blocking scheme, everybody did their job, made sure that they made their blocks before they went down to cover.
Well, now the Fighting Irish will have one last chance here. They need 2 touchdowns. One won't do it. So they can't afford to really fool around. Notre Dame's got to hit them long and deep. Air Force knows that. They got a 4-man rush, and they'll be coming hard. Here's Grooms, gets it away late, incomplete. Grooms was hit just as he released the ball by John Ziegler. Chris Funk was also in there. Pinkett was the intended receiver. The ball never got close to him.
Well, they're just the Air Force Academy is covering the routes that they're running. There isn't anybody open down for this entire ball game. Rarely have you seen a Notre Dame receiver running alone or wide open anywhere on the field. The secondary has played an outstanding defensive ball game.
Air Force has rushed for over 360 yards today. They're going to up their average a little bit. And Hoigo, the number 2 spot at least. Sideline pattern to Howard. Takes it out of bounds for Notre Dame first down in Air Force territory. They mark it at the 49. 1 minute, 10 seconds to go. But it would seem it's going to be very difficult for Notre Dame to get 2 scores in 1 minute.
Well, Air Force is playing zone coverage, playing a little bit soft. Rotelli back, you see him slip as he tried to recover, throw the ball over the linebackers in front of the deep secondary.
Notre Dame, of course, has a great history of pride that they've played with for so long here. Back there, foul sack and a fumble, and Notre Dame gets the ball back. Gromes never had a chance. We told you how Air Force is going to be coming here. And the ball, that keeps the clock rolling. Now less than a minute to go. Well, we want to thank the people. Well, Notre Dame's going to go quickly. Here's Grooms. Inside the final minute, Grooms sidelines to Howard. That'll stop the clock, thrown out of bounds. Incomplete pass, and it becomes third down and over 20 yards to go. We want to thank our stage manager, Greg Oldham, and our producers, Steve Anderson. Our statistician in the booth here today has been Dan Fabian. Our spotters, Andy O'Brien for Notre Dame, Jim Bowman for the Air Force. Just done a great job identifying the players. And the saga of Jerry Faust becoming a familiar story. 44 seconds for Notre Dame. Miracle seems to be out of the grasp right now. Over the middle, incomplete. In and out of the arms of Pickett. And he was completely surrounded by white-shirted Falcons from the ball's released. And now it's fourth down, and Notre Dame is down to one play with 39 seconds to go.
Well, those fourth down and 20 calls or 21, Jim, you don't have many of them from the coach's standpoint. I don't. Jerry Faust, Skipper, Rocky, doesn't make any difference. None of them have those fourth down and 20. The old spotter for the Air Force, Jim Bowman, old coach. You can see how smiling and happy he is out. He knows fourth and 21s you don't make too often.
Got to get some final thoughts from you here, Ed, in these last few plays. 39 seconds remaining. Air Force has this one put away, it would appear, 21-7 lead. There's down the middle, and it's almost intercepted by Thomas, intended for the tight end, Rick Gray.
Well, the story of this game was, Jim, Air Force came in, did what they wanted to do, used their splits, threw the little guys, made their running game go, controlled the ball. Their defense played excellent football. Their defense stopped Notre Dame at every turn. Notre Dame maybe had less than 200 yards of total offense when it's all said and done. Notre Dame's offense is just not doing the job. You know, whatever you say, they're not executing passing wise. They don't have a running game right now where they're going to, fall down less than 119 yards per game. Air Force deserves a tremendous amount of credit. Coaching staff did an excellent coaching job in preparation, took advantage of everything that Notre Dame gave them.
Here's Weiss. He can just run it out now by dropping on the ball. There's the first one. He goes down to knee. 30 seconds to go. We'll have one more snap, and it'll be history here. And Air Force will have...
we won't even have one more snap. They let the clock is underneath the 25-second count. That's the last play of the game. A great win for Air Force. The clock's going to run out here, and our congratulations to Fisher DeBerry. Notre Dame will have a tough job coming back. They'll have to get ready to play South Carolina Gamecocks.